Okay, good afternoon all. Hope everyone is well. Market has just opened. Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. I was just catching up on some news. Karina, good morning to you. Trump is pissed off with Powell. Maybe the market's better today. You never know. I was just watching Trump now, actually, getting interviewed. Okay, so same again. It's kind of the story. We didn't have a lot of volume yesterday, to be fair. There just wasn't much going on. It was a lot of chop. How you doing, Daryl? It was a lot of chop, and we haven't had much overnight, really. We had this push up, and we've been ranging since around about 8 o'clock this morning UK time. So we're just doing nothing. So all we can do is sit here and see what happens. But as we've pushed up into it and bounced once and twice, there's always that possibility that we could have a leg and a leg. Armanas, how you doing, my friend? I think it did similar last time we got in the all-time highs. Market doesn't know which way. Yeah, I know what you're saying. All-time highs is up here, isn't it? We had, well, we went up, we went down, and we kind of finished just, I don't know, it was a flat day yesterday. Obviously the day before and the day before that were good strong days. So we're not far away, are we? So yeah, when it gets up there, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty going on at the moment, isn't there? You know, what with all the stuff in the Middle East and what have you. So, but having said that, the markets do seem relatively strong. As I say, we're not far. I think it's up here, isn't it? We're not far away anyway, put it that way. So it's hard to say what's going on here, but we've gone up sideways. My guess is we'll probably push out, but we could bounce off the top and come back down and go into a range day. So it's really, it's, I don't know, it's hit and miss, isn't it? Exponential, how you doing, mate? So, yeah, this does look like it's going to push above this. We got a channel with a break, 3 attempts to go higher there, and we came back down. There was, I don't know, it was more of a doji really, but then we had a big bearish lower high, and that worked straight down and cleared out this. And then we've gone up and we've just kind of stagnated a little bit. So it's hard to know what's going to go on here, really. We could get a bearish bar here. This thing could come down or it could break out. I don't know. It's toss of a coin, really, which way things are going to go. And if you look on this range chart, it's super stacked at the moment. Yeah, it's just whipping up and down, isn't it? It's quite wicky. So there's nothing you can do. Yeah, see, my guess is that would have gone up. I didn't expect that. So when it's like this, there's just nothing you can do. I see Alpine absolutely got pulverized yesterday. I'm surprised, actually, because he's had an absolutely fantastic month. The guy's absolutely been killing it, but he got absolutely crucified. I think it was down 50 odd thousand yesterday. But he took it well, actually. He took it on the chin. So well done. It's not easy to take a hammering like that and sound pretty okay with it, but he has had quite a bit of success lately. He's had some really solid days, so I don't think it's worth having one bad day affect you. I mean, it wasn't long ago he was crippled, lost all his accounts before he was going on holiday, and he had a $50,000 month, so, or $50,000 month. So just goes to show, you know, if you bounce back, you know, you'll do all right. Requested 50,000. I mean, you can't grumble at that, can you? I know he's lost accounts and it's probably going to cost him, I don't know, a few grand, 3-4 grand or whatever to get it back, but it's 10% of what he's made. So it just goes to show, you know, even people who make pretty good money, who get battered in a day, can bounce back. Nutty's done it multiple times. I've kind of done it myself. I'm on a smaller scale compared to those guys at the moment. I like to think I'll be earning that sort of money soon. But obviously you have to have the finances to keep buying them back. I haven't really at the moment. I'm just sort of, you know, keep my head above water, if you like. But no, fair dues to him. He took it well. I was surprised. I thought he was going to collapse and melt, but he took it on the chin really well, actually. So he's You got to give him credit for that. How you doing, John? You all right, bud? Too bad. He's making about 500 per day in accounts and only lost to 1,000. Yeah, it's not. It's all right, isn't it? One account which shows nice growth. Yeah. Yeah, he's done okay, actually. He's doing okay. But I was surprised how well he took it. I know last time well, I mean, it's not nice taking a hammering like that, is it? I think what he needs to do is he can make the money, but when he takes a loss, it seems to be a large loss. So what I suppose he's got to try and do is when he has a losing day, you know, limit it to $500 account, $1,000 account, something like that. Because I know in the past he hasn't got to stop, or he's either made money or he's let it go and go and go until the account gets lost. Trouble is when you do that, you're kind of a ticking time bomb. So I think if he can just manage his losses a little bit, but he's done exceptionally well considering a few months ago he was battered and bruised. So it just goes to show, you know, as long as you bounce back and you take a day or 2 days or a week or whatever it takes to clear your head and you come back swinging, you'll do all right. You have got to have a thick skin with trading, I will say, but it kind of comes with the territory, doesn't it? You do toughen up, don't you? I've got to say, you know, there's been times where I've lost 5 accounts and I've been absolutely in tears, and I've told you that before. But when I lost my 5 accounts, I was quite all right with it, actually. It was 5 or 6 accounts I lost a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was actually all right. I was surprised how good I felt. And I think it's probably because I've been there before, and when you've been down that rabbit hole a bunch of times before and you realise you still pop up and you're in, you know, reasonable shape, you do start to learn, I think. So at the moment, there's not really a lot you can do here. This is the story of our life lately, isn't it? It's just, yesterday wasn't super, really. We kind of opened up here and we were chop, chop, chop. We had the same here and then chopping again. We had a bit of a move down and then chop again. And it was just, there was no sort of structure to it, really. It was very random, you know what I mean? That looks like a heart attack, doesn't it? That thing, it's just shooting all over the place. Pretty hard to trade, something like that. There was one trade which I missed, as you guys know. I had, I think, was it that one there? No, it was that there, wasn't it? For some reason, I've reloaded my bars this morning, but if you think if you guys think my bars are out of shape, let me know. I know you did yesterday, but because I'd already reloaded them, I didn't do nothing about it. But that was the one yesterday. It's a solid 9 out of 10, that. You wouldn't expect that to lose. I'd take that all day long, but my bar was a tick off a doji, so I did the sensible thing with what I got and I left it alone. But at the end of the day, if you get one, I know Mac marked that, didn't he? Trouble is, we go from the top to the bottom to the top to the bottom to the top. So I don't know. Mac's got the confidence to trade that sort of thing, but you know, like they say, if there's 4 or 5 bars stacked together and one of them's a doji, that's not far off a doji, but it's not even a second entry long, really, because there's the low. It's not a failure, really. There's the failure. So I think that's one of those trades that you go, we've pushed down, we've gone sideways, we've had a big push up. I think that's one of those types of trades that might not necessarily be a setup by the count, but experience of man experienced of max caliber would know that wouldn't work, you know, 19 times out of 20 probably, and some. But I'm just super cautious at the moment. Now I'm building these accounts up. You know, I think if you've got a nice lump sum in your account and you're only risking maybe a few percent, you could probably have a go at something like that with ease. But yeah, that's it. I mean, if that wouldn't have worked, he wouldn't have marked it. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, but aren't you? So we know the story anyway. We know how it works now. We've all been traded long enough to know. Majority of us have, you know, you regular guys have. So we know how the game's played, don't we? But I mean, really, there's not much you can do here, to be honest with you. There's no shorts you can really take there, regardless of whether it worked or not. That was the only one I thought about, but the bar was big. and I just didn't want anything to do with it. Pre-market as well. So what size was that bar? It wasn't a small one, was it? It's got to have been at least 5 points, I'd have said. Yeah, and the rest. So do I want to risk? See, I'm trading 2 contracts now. 1 loss, and I'm done for the day. I'll either go on to an evaluation or a sim, but I don't seem to take a lot of trades. So when I do take a good setup, I want to try and make it count. So I'm, as opposed to doing 2 losses and 1 contract, I'm doing 2 contract and 1 losses. Same sort of scenario. But I wouldn't want to risk $625 on that, to be honest with you. I mean, it made plenty. Well, it was 1-to-1, you know, but not just that. It is a bit choppy, so you just don't know where it's going to go, do you? Do you have any tips for going for larger targets? It's a tough one, really, because I don't go for a lot of larger targets. There are certain scenarios where I will move and go for a larger thing, but I rarely see them. You know what I mean? I mean, if we'd had a perfect channel up there, you have to. I'll tell you, the best setup I know, which works well for a larger move, is triple tests. So if we had a channel down like that, a really neat channel, this is one that I would do it. We don't get a huge amount, but if we had that and we had something like that, a triple test, and it popped above everything like that, and we got a nice bearish bar, those are the ones to hold on, because you got a good chance. Why is that not? Let me go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Freaked out me there. Channel like that, maybe triple test, looking nice, clear legs with a really big bearish bar. They usually push down strongly, clear all this lot out. So that's the type of trade I would go for a bigger move. I would let it break these, usually get a bit of a pullback, and then I would move it to the swing. But I don't take a lot, probably because I'm a coward, to be honest with you. You know, because I'm having a few ups and downs lately. And not only that, but if I get to $2,600 in an Apex account, I'm taking 500. So I'm not really building enough cushion in the account to hold on to trades and be kind of comfortable with it. I like to, it's kind of why I probably don't go for runners. I kind of like to get in and out. But if you put 20 accounts now with $15,000 in each, I'd hold on a lot more than I do now. So I'm guessing it's something that I'm kind of going to adjust to, you know, acclimatise to over time. But things like triple tests, when you've got real clear price action, they're the ones I think to hold on to. So I don't know, sometimes you're better off going for a lot less profit and going for bigger moves. It's a tough one, isn't it? There's no really easy answer. Especially when you see a trade and you realise it goes for 20 points. But in hindsight, you know, we haven't got the luxury of knowing where things are going to go. So we kind of have to do the best we can. But I've only been trading 4.5 years. So I'm still, you know, relatively inexperienced. I'm at that level now where I'm starting to get somewhere and I can spot setups. But I just quite kind of haven't got that huge amount of self-belief and massive confidence at the moment. But you know I'm improving, so as long as I'm improving, you know, that I think will kind of come organically. I'll get to the stage. But you know what I may do is, if I do see something like that, I may drop down to 1 contract and then try and hold, just kind of break myself in a kind of a lesser risk. It's kind of a little bit harder to not so much hard, that's probably the wrong word. You know, Apex, you used to be able to get the $2,600 and withdraw 2,000. Now, if that had been the case, I'd have earned a lot more money than I would have done now. But you know, if I'm honest, Apex have actually done us a favour by doing that, because they then make sure we've always got $2,000 in that account. That is worth holding on to. You drop down to $500, I'd say 9 out of 10 people are probably going to blow those accounts. Whereas I think it'd be the other way around. So I think by Apex doing that, they've done us a favour. I don't suppose they intentionally did it, but They're obviously cutting their payouts by doing that. But it's much better for the trader. You know, I went through 5 months on some of my accounts where I had payments every month, so it definitely worked for me. Let's have a look. So, let me have a look, see what I can see. Have we got no Thomas Wade today? Is that Thomas Wade? Oh, we got no Thomas Wade today. I can't see him. Oh, hello. Did I miss something? What time is it? Wow, that was a big drop, wasn't it? Right on cue as well. Right at the top. My bars don't match yours. Okay, first things first. Have you reloaded, Jay? If you have, I'll reload mine again, bud. Let me just have a look at... I like to look at... I think Dan's got me on here at the moment. Just did it again. Any different or not? No, they're still different. Okay. Let's reload mine. I did it this morning, but my bars look like yours look like mine. They might not now. Let's have a look. Might be yours then. I don't think mine look any different now, do they? Right. Does that look like yours or not? It's hard to tell for me. There's a little fell breakout there on that range chart. I wasn't looking at the chart at the time. I was looking at this. Still look the same as mine, Lance. Okay, mine like you. Okay, brilliant. Happy days. Yeah, you got a little fell breakout there, which worked for certainly for 12 ticks, I think, or maybe it didn't. No, it didn't. You'd have to push up to there. Depending on where you got in. I was looking at this chart anyway, so that's the trouble is when it's like this, it's so hard. It's, what is it? It's a fraction over 5 points from top to bottom. Close, just the one. Trade off the high, you still have green. Yeah, I wonder what exactly affects all this. Whether, I mean, if you've got sort of data coming from, you know, the servers wherever they are to my computer in the UK, and then maybe Sean's computer, he's, you know, tens of thousands of miles away or whatever. Then some of you guys in the US, you know, I suppose it partly depends on how quick your internet speed is. I suppose it all makes a difference, but the trouble is when you're a retail trader, we don't really know the nuts and bolts of it all, do we? After the third reset, you're smart. There's a possible higher low here. Trouble is we've gone up. There's a bullish bar there on the range chart. It's triggered, come back down and stopped it out. That makes me nervous about going long. Not only that, I've got one trade now and I'm dead in the water then. And I've done it that way to force me into waiting for a good setup. Yeah, I'm just not sure about this. We've had multiple touches along that top, so this thing may decide to take a drop. It's just not clear, is it really? Yeah. My gut is this may decide to have a little push down. What did I miss there? Tim, how you doing, buddy? NQ is weak. Careful with your longs. Yeah. I was looking for a higher low here, but then we had a bullish bar on that range bar. It immediately triggered, came straight down, stopped it out. So, yeah, I'm just sitting tight. I think you're much safer just to leave it when it's doing this, especially in such a tight range. It's a fraction over 5. It's about 5.5, 5.25 point. So you can get severely shafted, can't you? There. I don't like getting shafted. So sensible thing to do really when it's doing that is just to sit and drink your cappuccino. Yeah, this is doing something very similar. Yesterday we had a little bit of chop. We had that push up. We flipped up and down sideways, and all of a sudden it just dropped. Pretty much looks the same as what we're getting now, isn't it? So our next kind of level of support really is down there. So whether we're going to rattle between those, we could come right down to it. Who knows, really? This is all speculation, isn't it? We got some news coming up in about 8 minutes. Pending home sales. It's only medium impact news, but it doesn't usually do much from memory, but in medium impact news can be severely unpredictable, as we found out about 6 months ago. You have a bot, dear. I need time for testing. Bart, how you doing, my friend? Cappuccino. Well, actually, I don't know why I said cappuccino. It's a latte. They're more or less the bloody same, aren't they? Milky coffee. How you doing, buddy? I was chatting with Bart yesterday. Absolute gentleman. And a great trader as well. A great amount of self-control. It's strange. You don't seem to have a lot of views, but I think you're one of the better traders out there. It might be because you probably don't talk. That's probably has a lot to do with it. I think if you're quiet, I don't know whether people like someone with a big mouth like me. But it's not for everybody. I know that. I understand that. But it's a shame because you're really good. You're a really solid trader. A lot of self-control. I've seen you take a batter and just carry on. I wish I could do that. Absolutely. I tell you what, taking losses is, I think, probably out of all the elements of trading, I think is your biggest plus. Because I think that's the one thing that cripples more traders than anything else. You know, if you sit here for long enough, year after year, you can't help but get better at reading the charts. That's a fact. I do believe with time, your ability to deal with emotions improve. But if you've got a natural ability to take losses and just carry on trading, and I've seen Bart take a couple of 3 losses a day and he carries on and he does well. So it's a big plus that if you've got that skill, especially early in the. But I think you've been trading for a while, Bart, haven't you? But yeah, he's going to be over in the UK later in the year, so hopefully we're going to meet up, and I'm going to have a beer with him. Well, he's going to have a beer. I'm going to drink whiskey. There you go. In fact, I watched his video yesterday and he had an American accent. I was quite surprised actually, so I messaged him and he said, no, it's he does something very technologically advanced. I can't even get my head around. But I know he's originally from Poland, so he's one of our European friends. There's lots of Polish in the UK actually, and I've got to say they put us to shame. They work harder than we do. We're quite lazy when it comes to work, but the Poles know how to earn their living. Whiskey is great too. It's my drink of choice, that is. But I have not, well, I'll tell a lie, I had a little shot last night. I haven't had one since I went out Saturday night with my brother for a couple of hours, and I had a bunch, but I had a small one last night, but I haven't had one since Saturday apart from that. So if you guys aren't aware, Bart has a YouTube channel where he doesn't talk, but he streams live, and he's an absolutely solid trader. So if you're unaware of him, check him out. I know a lot of other YouTubers, they go on about, affiliates and all this. I don't want to talk about this. It doesn't bother me. If someone's a good trader, I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about if someone's a good trader, they should be on your radar. I know, have you been keeping up with the drama? I watched a bit of Kellyanne's video. I think Patrick Wayland has parted ways with Traderify. I'm not quite sure about the details, but I watch it and keep up with it, but I leave all the arguments and the drama to everybody else. When you've been married as long as I have, you give anything for a quiet life, so I just kind of let them get on with it, but I kind of follow it just for a little bit of entertainment. You're welcome, mate. Anytime. Anytime. So there's not really a lot you can do with this. It's just kind of chopping up and down. Or there isn't anything really. Whelan got booted from Traderify. Did, yeah. See, I've got to say, Patrick Whelan, I know he was saying they've made millions and all this sort of thing, but Patrick Whelan's made a lot of money from affiliates, way more than he's made as a trader. So, you've got to appreciate these companies who allow you, because I think, I'll tell you who I used to watch and chat with again, the guy from New Zealand, I forget his name, it's gone blank. Really nice guy, and I know he had kind of an exclusive affiliate connection with Topstep, and all of a sudden they dropped him out the blue. So you don't know in the future. The likes of Apex and My Funded Futures and Take Profit Trader, everyone knows them now, and everyone knows that you can use the codes. There are codes out there. You don't have to use affiliates codes. So it wouldn't surprise me in the future if a lot of these companies decided to ditch the affiliates, maybe keep them on for the first 3 to 6 months until they establish themselves. But Cammy, yeah, nice bloke Cammy is. I've chatted to him quite a bit during his stream, but I know Topstep just ended things with him. I don't think it was anything personal. But you don't know, see, when some of these prop firms have been well established, whether they're going to decide, because I saw that video that he was earning, I don't know, $200,000 per month from affiliates. So these affiliates must be paying an absolute stinking load of money out. So you never know when they're going to decide to pull the plug and say, people are aware of us now. I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Politics and industry need to focus with the trading instead of Patrick Whelan's BS. He's made tons of money. Soon homeless. Yeah. He uses Stotch RSI 2 hours. Yeah, he's made a terrific amount of money from people, I got to say. Crikey, hello. That's the news, got to be, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So it just goes to show that medium impact news can it can move sometimes. Yeah, we had a little bit of a spike. Okay, so the news is all gone now. So he's a bit loud and brash for me, Patrick Whelan is. When I heard him talking to Nutty, he sounded quite pleasant, but he's definitely full of beans, isn't he? Yeah, he makes a huge amount of money, doesn't he, from, you know, prop firms. I'll tell you what, though, if all of a sudden these prop firms stop their affiliates, he's going to have a big shock, I think, isn't he? Kellyanne for English speakers. Yeah, I watched her video actually yesterday. Was it? I think it was this morning. But I dare say she makes an absolute ton of money as well. Because I know when she originally started, she says she's not interested in affiliates. You know, she just kind of made her money from trading. But, you know, affiliates, put it this way, I don't make a huge amount. I'm up to about $350 this month. Not a lot, really. I think my best ever month was about $3,000. That was just a one-off. But, you know, over the last 2.5 years, it's really helped me being able to stay in the space because I wouldn't have been able to afford to trade full time. Although I worked part time for a while, but it was only because those affiliates. And I think over the 2.5 years, I think I've averaged about $1,200 a month. So it's nowhere near in the scale that, you know, the likes of Nutty and that earn, but it really helps you with your trading costs. It really does. So I'm really fortunate I've had that because I think there's a fair chance I could have been in some financial difficulty. Well, maybe not that, but I certainly would have had to go back to work. So it's definitely helped me. Trading his horse course don't work. Yeah, continues to sell his course. Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree in a lot of cases where someone will trade for a few years and start making up some sort of course, little bits and pieces that they've learned and you know, sell to newer traders. You know, I think if you've been an established trader like Mac for 25 years, then, you know, I get it. But crikey, the one thing I'll say with Mac, he's an absolute lovely guy and he's had 25 plus years of experience and he charges you $125 for a month. It's absolute peanuts. So yeah, Mac could charge a lot more from that. He could make a lot of money, but just the amount of money. I mean, I started with Mac a little over 4 years ago and he still charges exactly the same, $125 for a year. And I know when it was the guy, the Gorilla guy came out, was charging $800 for a course. I'm not a fan of doing that because you guys, the same as me, have learned off other people. Apart from Mac, I've never been charged. I don't know how many times I've messaged Marco or messaged Dan. They've never charged me a penny for any help. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, you help the newer traders and you learn off the more experienced traders. It's about helping each other. I'd never charge anybody. The only reason I use affiliates is because it helps me financially and it doesn't cost you guys any more. So I figure if I'm here giving you a bit of company, doesn't cost you anything. So you guys have, you know, used me code and helped me out and hopefully it's kind of win-win. But I'd never do a course or charge it. I'd never charge anyone. And I know Wilson does it. But what I don't get is how can you charge someone when, and I don't mean this nasty because Wilson, because I think he's a lovely guy, but I would be embarrassed to be charging someone and then blowing all my accounts up. Surely if you're charging someone, you should be a seasoned trader, someone who's been doing it for years. I just don't get why you charge people really when you're still struggling yourself. It kind of, I'd be embarrassed for starters. Like most of YouTubers, if not all affiliates money, you can't trade for shit. Yeah, it's true. That's your UK. Come on, good country for working. If it wasn't the weather, I'd live there. Yeah, we don't have very good weather, do we? But I'll agree with you there. Streams keep trading from being lonesome. Yeah, it is. I've got to say, trading is a lonely old business, and when you're having a rough time, there's nothing worse than being by yourself stuck in a room. It's nice to. I've got to say, every time I've had a bad session and something's gone wrong, I've had emails and Facebook messages, and it's surprising how it does give you a lift. They'll say, "Oh, it happened to me. I'm okay." But what I do like is when I see people like Nutty and Alpine blow up and lose everything, and then they bounce back. It does make you feel better, doesn't it? So having other people to sort of bounce off and give you a bit of a shoulder and a bit of an encouragement, it definitely makes learning trading a lot less painful. But I mean, you guys like me, you've been through the ups and downs. Can you imagine? I bet this business has wrecked some people's lives. I bet some people have got into debt by tens of thousands they're never going to be able to pay off. So trading really can be cruel, and I think it's good that you spend time with other people. But I've said from day one, I know how much trading's cost me. I've been fortunate to have a lot of my costs covered with affiliates, but I'd hate to think about what shape I'd be in now if I never had those. I had that attitude, throwing money at trading, that's the best way to do it, and it couldn't be the worst way to do it. And I know some streamers will ram affiliates down your neck, but I couldn't in all conscience do that, really. It's just not right, is it? You've got to be honest with people and say it's hard. And you've got to be really careful about your money. I'd certainly never ever. I think, when you do start moving from a sim to starting to get a taste of it, I think the prop space is brilliant, because you can for the price of an evaluation. I don't know. Let's say $200. If you can pass an evaluation and you pay the fees, you can control $2,500 of spending for $200. If you put that $2,500 of your own money into account, you're risking 10, 12 times that. Marco took that. Well done for him. It just didn't interest me, that. I don't know whether it's going to push back up, because we've had that leg up, see. But I think the prop space is brilliant to get new traders for a taste, but only ever have one. Only ever have one evaluation at a time, because all you're going to do is buy a trade copy, which is more money, and then you're going to trade copy a bunch of others, and when you blow one, then you're going to blow a ton of them, and only buy them when they're cheap, 80-90% off. All you want to do is get a little bit of a taste what it feels like. And I wouldn't even think, the worst thing I did was try to get lucky again and again just to get to a PA account, because it told me I'm at the next level when I really wasn't. I just relied on luck. The trouble is, if you do pass one out of luck, you're going to pay $140, and chances are 99 times out of 100 you're going to lose that as well. So the best way to get to a PA is to do it organically. Let nature take its course and do it the right way. You'll save yourself an absolute ton of money. Worst story I've heard from Knack is when a woman went crazy. I remember that. Her husband got into trouble. Can't remember the phone or email, because her husband lost. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out how much money you could potentially get in debt for. Yeah, it doesn't bear thinking about. I know my wife's uncle, years ago, he's sadly not with us now. He used to bet on the horses terribly, and he ended up getting that much in debt. I think him and his partner ended up losing their business. So I mean, really, in a way, this isn't a lot different than a casino. In fact, if you're a gambler, I think you'll have more luck at making money out of a casino. But you know, the thing about, you know, gambling, it's that buzz, and you get it from this. You know, I can't deny it. I've never been a gambler, but you know, I've had to ask myself the questions. If I'm taking a stupid risk, what am I doing? I'm gambling. So I've really had to try and concentrate on focus and try and think to myself, this is a business. If I want to gamble, I shouldn't be doing this. But the difference is with this, you know, if you are gambling, you can get yourself in so much trouble. Now, I know a lot of times I use my credit card to buy my evaluations, and at the month I just pay it so I can keep an eye exactly what I'm spending. I just put it on one credit card. If you're gambling with betting offers and stuff, I'm pretty sure you can't use your credit card. So you can get in a lot more debt with this. So you've got to be so careful. Yeah, you've really got to be sensible and careful. It's easier said than done at times. It really is. So hopefully, you know, the mistakes you've seen me make, hopefully you'll be aware of them. You know, and if you start to go down that road, just think, I've seen that plonker Lance do it and I ain't doing it. You know, just learn. But like I say, I've been lucky because I've had some affiliate money, so that's helped me with the cost. I hate to think what shape I'd have been in. I don't know how my kind of journey would have differed. You know, I think really it would be nice to see this credit card companies not to allow you to use it for this, because the trouble is, I mean, I've got about 3 or 4 credit cards with about £12,000 on it. I mean, I could go through those credit cards so quickly. So you've got to be so careful. You know, it's a fact trading takes a fair few years to get the hang of. They did a poll on the Facebook group maybe 8-10 months ago, and I think the average time to be consistently profitable, or at least making more money than you lose, was 4 to 6 years. So that gives you you know, if you take 5 years right down the middle, there are people probably do it in 2 years. There are some people who may take 10 years, but if you're committed and you've got quite a bit of self-control and you put a lot of effort in, 4 to 6 years seems to be the general direction. We've got a second entry long here on this range bar. The trouble is we've broke out here and we've just come back, so I don't know whether we're coming back into support, so I don't know whether this is going to test it and go lower. We've had a breakout. If this is the range, we've had a breakout at the bottom and one at the top, so this may come down. So I'm not necessarily jumping long here because, you know, the trade actually doesn't look too bad. And my gut is telling me we may get 2 legs, but we have been ranging and this is a breakout. So it may push out, it may not. It's hard to say. Charging people for help. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know, you know, Wilson, he's a nice guy. I've chatted with him on and off before. But when you're charging someone a monthly fee and you're still struggling and blowing your account, I'd be embarrassed. I wouldn't be able to do it. If you're a seasoned trader like Mac, who's been making money for 20 years, absolutely, you've got every right to charge for your time if you're a professional. But really, it's people like that you want to associate with, people who've been doing it for years. Another one I watch as well occasionally is Tom Hugard. He's another seasoned trader who's been trading for years. He's got a background, he's got a record. Because there's so many people out there selling your courses. And you don't know what you're getting, really. So there is a second entry long on this range chart, but this is triggered. It's gone up and it's come down. This is an area where I don't really want to go long at the moment because this is a breakout. The first kind of one failed. Is this failing again, or have we got a new top? I'd be inclined to say that looks probably extend that to that. So, which means it may, once, twice, three times, it may come down. In fact, there's kind of a failure there on this range bar, but I don't know. When we've had a push up into this level, you could go 1, 2, 3 bounces. It may decide to go higher. So I'm just really not sure what to do at the moment. So when that's the case, I generally just don't do anything. The trouble is, we've had this push up. We could have 1, 2 attempts to push higher, and this may go up. Whenever we've had a move up it into a range, we often have another push up at the top. That's my experience. With the exception of yesterday, we didn't really, but obviously we had, Powell was talking, so let me have a look at another day. Yeah, there, we've got that move up, and we kind of rattle up and down. I mean, it does actually go up slightly more than a range, really, but then we have that other move. So, yeah, it's hard to know what to do here. In fact, that second entry long there does look like it's starting to work now, so I'm guessing it may go up, but it's not for me at the moment. I know, Bart, one of your setups is failed breakouts, isn't it? So it's just hard to know whether this thing's going to get out or not. And as I say, you may have your chart there, and that looks okay. So there's your breakout, which failed, came straight back in. Well, you know, relatively quick. So we're having another go. It may go up and test this and then push higher, but I think traders are trying to push it higher by the looks of it. But while it's kind of choppy, there's not really much I could do here. Checking around while it's shopping. Alpine lost a lot of accounts today. I thought he was not trading today. I know he lost 50-odd thousand yesterday. He got absolutely battered. But Nutty did the sensible thing and had a couple of days off. And I think when you've had a good hammering like that, I think the sensible thing to do is to have a couple of days off and clear your head. I can't tell you how many times I've come back when I'm frustrated, and it absolutely doesn't work unless you get lucky. But I'd say most of the times I've blown accounts is when I've come back after a bad day. See, I've changed my system slightly. I'm going for 2 contracts now, but 1 loss. Guardian Angel won't let me trade these accounts a day, so my losses will be limited. So the ATR's just above 2.5, so 300, 350 will be my max loss. I'd rather go for that because it forces me to wait for a better setup, and I don't need as many trades. But at the moment, it's not the easiest of trading days, which is something I seem to be saying a lot of lately. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Trouble is, you never know what you get, and I don't know why you. I know there's a UK trader, a lady, mindfully trading. I know she paid about 2,500 for a course with, I think it's Warrior Trade, the guy with a ponytail, and she doesn't use it anymore. She said it was a waste of money. So trouble is, when you're spending that amount of money online, you really don't know what you're getting. You know, I don't spend £30 on a toaster without Googling it or going onto YouTube and finding how good it is. So I'm usually pretty cautious with buying stuff. These another scan. Yeah, there's so many people out there, isn't there? And you really don't know. You really don't know what, you know, whether they're trading a live account or whether they're trading a sim account. I'd say my trading would probably improve if I went over to trading a sim. But I don't think it's okay to say I know how to trade, I can't do it myself, so I'm going to do a course. I think really, until you're a seasoned professional trader, I don't really think you should start selling any types of courses without having some sort of proven track record. I don't know how you can take money off someone when you can't make it consistently yourself. I'd feel like a fraud. Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah, I mean, take what's it? I think he can trade Patrick Whelan, but I know he makes way more money on his affiliates. But I don't know what he makes trading. I got no idea actually. I'm pretty sure he can trade, but I know he way out makes his money off. Sorry, he makes more money off his affiliates than I think he said that himself. He makes more money on affiliates than he does. So that second entry long did work. The trouble is, while we're floating around the top of this bit of support here, I'm just a bit unsure what to do. And when I feel a bit unsure, I tend to do nothing. But that would have worked for 3 points. But that's okay. Trouble is, you don't know whether it's going to trigger and you're going to get a failure and then it's going to come back in a range, or you don't know when it's going to go up. Speedy, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, my mate? Yeah, it's a pay big fine. Who was that? Was that warrior trader? I seem to have heard something like that. Yeah, trouble is, there's a lot of vulnerable people around, isn't there? Yeah, there's a lot of vulnerable people around. So, I mean, it is scamming people out there hard-earned money, isn't it? You know, I think there's going to be more and more regulations coming into the market. You know, I think really until people can prove they're consistent and they can trade themselves, they shouldn't be allowed to charge newer traders. Trouble is getting into trading is a big scary place, and it's an absolute minefield. So you really do need some guidance, but you know I don't agree with certain things that Mac does, but if you want a trader, I think you're doing yourself a solid by going with Mac. He charges you a tiny amount of money, and he can trade. He's been trading for years. You know, there are some things I wish he'd change about his bar by bar, but that's nothing personal. It's just the way he does it. But you definitely need someone like Mac when you're trading this, because you can just get crucified. Mac's a solid bloke. He's an absolute gentleman, and he's got he's made a career out of trade, and he can clearly trade. It didn't take a genius to work that out. And $125 per year, I think $125 a month would be quite cheap. But he does genuinely like to give back, and I got a lot of time for people who do that. I think Wilson charges, doesn't he charge 30 or 50? He charges more than Mac. Probably 5 times what Mac charges. I know Joe charges as well, Trader Joe, doesn't he? In his Discord, he charges as well. Now, I don't think he's super experienced, but what I will say is I wouldn't necessarily say he was an absolute quality trader. But what I will say about him is he's got the patience of a saint. So I think he's got some really good qualities as a trader himself. I think he's going to do really well in this space. Not so innocent. He could be making it. He could, yeah. I think Mac's got a quite comfortable life. I know he's invested in some real estate. I know he rents some properties, so he makes money from that. He's been doing this for years. So I don't think Mac's short of a few quid. I think he's got plenty of money. But, you know, he's a churchgoer. He's quite a Christian guy. And he said from day one that if he made a good career out of this, he was going to give some back. And when you're charging $125 a year, you're absolutely giving back, because you're saving a lot of young, new traders an absolute stack of money. I don't think I've ever seen any type of a trading course anywhere near as cheap as Mac charges. So I would absolutely recommend anyone. It doesn't really matter who you go with as long as they know what they're doing and you're not paying the earth, because all strategies work. This is no harder or no easier than any other one. They all take time. And I think that's why people underestimate it. When you sit and look at a chart and think, all I've got to do is buy when it's going up and sell when it's coming down, how hard can it be? But it kind of looks easy, but it's the toughest thing I've ever had to learn by a mile. I mean, purely and simply, not just the amount of time it takes. A lot of jobs take time. To be a carpenter, 3 to 4 years in the UK, or a bricklayer or something like that, they take a lot of time. But the one thing is, you're getting paid at the end of the week, whereas this doesn't work that way. No, you don't. But one thing is with Mac, it's $125 for a year. So you pay for a year, and he has got dozens of videos explaining everything. There is a forum in there, so you can ask him questions. I know a guy who charges £199 to have an hour chat with him. So there's loads of videos there. There are bits of software that you can download. There's the forum there. I think it's good value for money. And I've learned majority of what I've learned from Mac. And then just kind of bits off other traders and so on. You've been hell about with trading. I think sometimes when you talk to other people, like we're chatting now about, the hell and back thing, you're absolutely right. That's what it feels like. It's very few people in my life have brought me to tears, or very few things have brought me to tears. And trading has twice. And I think I'm I like to think I'm a man's man. I don't cry for everything. When my daughter was born, when my mum passed away, yeah. But anything else in life, nothing's made me cry. I've come close when I've seen a big spider, but that's another one of my weaknesses. But trading's brought me to tears twice. And I've got to say, when I think back maybe a year and a half ago, I've felt down, depressed and miserable. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can relate just by Speeder's comment. And he's been through the mill, and we all have. But what I'll say is, you guys are learning something. Me as well. We're all learning something that very few people can do. So when you get to that stage, you can really pat yourself on the back and congratulate you, because you've worked your ass off to get to the stage of making money, and you're a pretty unique guy. There's very few people out there that can do what what we're trying to do. And if you just, I'm a big believer, if it can be done, I can do it. It's taken way longer than I thought it would do. I've always had this mentality: if it can be physically done, then I can do it. I've always liked the challenge, but this has tested me in ways that I've never been tested before. So it does look like we may get a second leg up there, but it doesn't seem to be pushing up strong. Most of the traders about 6 contracts for 2 points, and it took me a long time to be patient enough to wait for the best trades. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? What I think it is, I was chatting to a trader buddy of mine about maybe a year ago, and he was talking about Dan. He's a friend of Dan's, and Dan's helped him out a few, a bit of there. And he said Dan has a very as a real talent to be able to filter out all the crap. And I think that's a lot of this. I think the more trades you take and lose, you'll start to work on those whenever you see that picture before you leave them. And it is a case of fine-tuning that sort of hand-to-eye coordination, and it's leaving the things that in the past have created some trouble. And the only way you can do that is with practice and practice and practice. It's like, has anybody ever tried braking in a car with your opposite leg? You can't do it. It's near damn impossible. But that foot on that brake that connects with your hands and your eyes and what you're seeing on the road takes a long time to fine-tune until you get an emergency stop, and that foot acts beautifully. You don't just grind to a screeching halt. There's a lot of experience that builds up in that process, that you see something happening And it's kind of the same with trading, really. The more you do it, the more things go wrong, you learn from it. And it's that kind of, it's kind of baby steps, isn't it? That very slow progression. But, every time something goes wrong, you get that little tiny bit better. What I know is clear works in high. Absolutely. You don't really have to watch Mac. Not when you've had a bit of experience. You don't have to. I kind of watch him more just to see if he marks what I mark, or to see what his chart is, or just to hear what he's got to say. But I don't necessarily think I find any value out of it anymore. But that's okay. That's okay. When you've been trading this a while, you kind of your way around what looks like a good setup and what's not. But I think probably one of the things that lets lots of us down is staying out of this, and sometimes your patience. I have days where I've got the patience of a saint, and I've got other days where I want to trade. But what I find is when I've taken a loss, that's when my ability to keep my patience, I can feel it straining on me, which is why I've decided to go for 2 contracts and 1 loss, as opposed to, at least that way, if I take a loss, I'm out of the game for 24 hours. So I know, as much as I might be itching to get back in the market now after a loss, come tomorrow, that desire has gone. So I think if you are struggling, get yourself Guard Angel Trade. It's a fantastic bit of software, and set it to 1 loss per day. That way you're not going to get to the stage where you do yourself any real damage. If it's like being on a diet. It's very easy to say, I'm going to stick to a diet just after you've eaten a massive pizza and a bucket of ice cream, but if you can put a lock on your fridge and on your cupboards, and the shops won't let you in, there's no way you can kind of fail, really. So, MM, how you doing, buddy? Matt will have everyone believe every trader is a win, no losing trader. I think he's been doing it that long, he doesn't know any different, does he? I think he's kind of forgotten what it's like to be a newbie. Just years of experience. It's like anything, when you get experience and you look at newbies and think, well, how can you not see that? But, it's kind of the way it is. But yeah, I think showing every trade in hindsight doesn't really give you a true picture of how things are. I think what he needs to do is show all the trades that may be valid, and then say, after the end of the day, I took this one and I took that short. They're the ones I took. The others, I don't think he needs to do a lot to make a big difference with traders. And maybe point out a couple that inexperienced traders may have got caught out. Taking a short there, triple test, trigger just stopped you out. I think explaining where traders tend to get caught up, I think, will be really helpful. And then at the end of the day, saying, okay, these are the ones that I marked. Why he doesn't say that, I've got no idea. But I think it would make life so much easier for traders if he just did those 2 things. Spoke about where traders may have been caught out, and said which ones that he would see at the time, which he would have taken. Gave up on good setups. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think when you've been trading for a few years, you got a fair idea where the market's going at any sort of point in time. So, if we're going up, see, a lot of the times we won't get a signal bar, but we've got a fair idea where price is going, when it comes back to the. So I think it's okay when you get a bit of experience to adjust things. A lot of trading is experience, knowing where to get in. Have we made 2 measured legs? Are we still in the channel? The trouble is with Pats, is we wait for a signal bar to form, and in a lot of cases, a lot of traders will just buy if it gets here. And by the time a signal bar forms of 12 ticks, you're already out your trade. So there's various different ways. Guerrilla Trader, I used to like how he traded. If he had like a correction, half the time, if he wanted to buy, he would jump in here somewhere. If he thought it was going to push up from there, he would jump in here and risk a point. Because the chances are it was going to move up, and if it didn't, he lost the point. And he may do that 2 or 3 times and just risk a point, as opposed to getting in up here, risking 3 points, and you may be wrong. So, you know, if you start to see it go a bit sideways at a perfect measured leg and a nice correction, I don't think it's a bad idea to jump in there and risk a point. Chances are, if you did that 3 times, you get it right at least one with a potential to get a big move up. And if you're only risking a point and you could get 10 points, you know, there's a big risk to, there's a big profit margin there. And he used to do that a lot. And I kind of thought that's how I want to start looking at things, you know, in time. Because he doesn't trade away. Yeah, I've said that for a while. I think he adjusts away. Mind you, the odd trade he does post, he does kind of follow his own rules, but you know, that's the small portion of what you know, what he could potentially do. But bear in mind, Max still only he trades for a point. So, you know, it's certainly easier to find a trade with a point. But when you've got 20 odd years, 25, 28 years experience, you're going to be able to get bits out of this market. But yeah, I think there are some times he'll take a trade. But he may not show you because you probably get 1,001 emails saying, why did you take that? It wasn't, you know, by the count. So yeah, it's hard really. So I think we've got more than a measured leg there. We have just a touch. Not much more. See, I've gone for there. So got to be a bit cautious here. Now that might not be a channel, or it could be a spike and channel. That's often the case. I'd say that probably looks a little better. I've just noticed someone else has, excuse me, put that, so that makes sense. So if we do get 2 legs down, it may go a bit higher. So if we're talking about a measured move from there, we've still got plenty of space up, but we have had just 2 legs up, so you never quite know what's going to happen here. I don't think Thomas Wade is trading, is he? Have a look. Oh yeah, it's still high. So yeah, Thomas Wade's got that. He's gone from the bottom. That doesn't look that bad, actually. It's got very close to the top. It could either be either or, really, couldn't it? I actually trust that EMA more than I do a channel. But if you look at that EMA is lining up pretty good with that channel, certainly this section. So I think if we can get 2 legs down, that won't be a bad option. We're trading up into previous range. We move quite far from the previous range. So I'm leaning more towards a new uptrend. Starting here, the bullish push was quite decent. So he'll be looking for a second entry long or a higher low here. We have had 2 legs, although that second leg isn't as large. We haven't been up here for a long time, have we? So let me just have a quick look at the daily, see what that's saying. Right, so, well, I mean, that's pretty bullish at the moment, isn't it? All-time highs are up here, which is not far away. So let's say thereabout. So we are just over 100 points away. So we've had 2 solid bars. A little bit of a, that was yesterday, wasn't it, where we had Powell talking, then we've crossed over. So we could get another leg up here. So, and I say could. Yeah, so doesn't always help. And every time I change my chart, my color changes. Okay, so there's our first entry. No, there isn't. But to be honest with you, I've watched him that many times now where he talks about money and price and stuff like that. I'm convinced he does. I mean, he's been doing this now for 13 or 14 years on YouTube. I don't think you get away with it that long. People would be able to see through you. So I'm confident he does. I've got no doubts. I understand, the skeptics out there. Absolutely. I think it's always fair to say you don't believe anything till, you know what I mean? Do I believe in God? I'm kind of on the fence. I hope there's somewhere else. I hope I get to see me mum again and me dad. But I've always been the type of person I like to see it before I can believe it. I don't want to rule it out just in case. But would I say I'm a strong believer in God? Not necessarily. I don't really go to church unless it's a funeral or a wedding, but I hope, I was going to say I hope to God there is, but I hope there is. It'd be nice to know I'm going to see, members of my family again. But I've always been I like to sort of see, but I believe, but I still put a glass of whiskey, cookies and a carrot out on Christmas Eve. So you may call me a hypocrite. But in fact, my daughter said this year, she went, no, I'm not really bothered, but I still put one out just in case. I don't want to take a risk. I'm not going to get a gift or something. Who drinks whiskey? Yeah, I'm just trying to get Santa onto the old stuff. It used to be sherry when I was a kid, but I can't stand that stuff. So I tend to give him what I got in the house. We haven't actually, it's an inside bar there. We haven't actually broke below there, so that I would have to wait for a higher low there. Or when you start drinking whiskey, it grows on you. Oof. It really does. It's like eating a fine cheese. So I don't know what to do here. There's nothing I really can do while that's an inside bar. The only option is to wait for a higher low, really. I mean, it's certainly a bounce off the right area, but it is an inside bar. Mobland. Yeah, I have finished it, yeah. How did it end? They were in prison, weren't they? I can't remember how it ended now. I know Pierce Brosnan and what's her name were in prison. That's... but I think they got information to get them out. So there's only one season, isn't there? Oh, all right. I won't say anymore. I believe they have. I saw something on the news or something on Google or something. And I think they have commissioned another series. But I liked what's her name? Meryl Streep. Is it Meryl Streep? I think is it Meryl Streep? Gone blank. I think she played a brilliant part. I did. Tom Hardy as well. Always plays a good part. He's just a cool criminal, isn't he? Yeah, if I was going to have a man crush, it would be on someone like him. Actually, he's pretty cool, isn't he? Tom Hardy plays a good part. But I believe there's what's it coming out, isn't there? Hugh Laurie and what's his name? Was it The Night Manager? I believe there's another Night Manager coming out. I watched bits of it. I thought that was a bit too far-fetched. But now I've watched Now I've watched Helen Mirren, yeah, sorry. Now I've watched Mobland. I may go back to it, but I did what he had that black guy in it, didn't it? And that other young guy. It seemed a bit too far fetched, but I don't know. I might go back and have another go at that. But I did start something earlier. What was it? Something with Martin Friedman in. It's Missing or something like that. I can't remember what it was now. Some sort of a crime drama. It's hard to say now, this, isn't it? Great series. I may have a go at that. It's hard to know what's going on here. It could be a spike in channel, in which case we're okay at the moment, but that's or it could just be 2 legs. Let's see what happens here. Channel break, new low. It's very tempting, that. It's very tempting. It's only 6 ticks, 7 ticks. Do I have a go at that? It's very tempting. It's only 7 ticks. It's a bit congested, though. Is it going to work? If you get a higher low here, I'll have a go at this. Let's get an order open. I don't think it's a terrible trade. It's only 7 ticks, but it's a bit... I'm just a little bit unsure here. I've moved my channel back and forth here a bit. So it's hard to say. So I'm going to wait for the higher low, I think, is a safer option. It actually doesn't look too bad. The setup itself, clearly 2 legs, doesn't look too bad. It may work. But we've had 2 legs up, so whether it's hard to say at the moment, but I don't think it's a bad trade. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Which is why I decided to wait for the higher low. I mean, it's working for... You certainly would have had 6 ticks. Thomas Wade said he's waiting for a higher low. Archer said he's waiting. Strong bar on second chart. So if you get a higher low here, I don't think that's a bad option. So that's 11 ticks, isn't it? So you'd have got 6 ticks out of that so far. Let me just have a check. I think you would have done. Yeah, you would have done. Just. It's not the worst trade in the world. I think one thing going for it is only 7 ticks. I've seen many times where good second entry off the trend line fails. Yeah. I've found lately second entries are a little bit more unreliable. Obviously depends how they look. I mean, if they look like 2 perfect legs, put it this way, just looking at the setup on the MES, that looks much better. Little channel with a break in the... That looks much better as a setup. I haven't got that drawn as a channel. But the setup looks cleaner on the MES. Well, look at that. If we get a higher low, I think it's not a bad option because you can clearly see 2 legs there and it's a strong bar right on there. So it looks nice on there. On here, just a little bit messier. Yeah, he does create some frustration, doesn't he? Yeah. If we can get a higher low here, I don't think that's a bad option. Depends how you draw that, really. Thomas Wade's got the same as me. On an evaluation, 100% I'd have taken that. But it is a little more riskier. But if this ends up here, Mac will draw it. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? Is it a bigger channel? I don't think so. I don't think so. No, that doesn't look right to me. There's all this missing. So I'd say that doesn't look too bad. It's a bit messy and a bit... well, messy I think is the word, isn't it? But... it's hard to say, really, isn't it? You know, we look at this later, it may look fantastic. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're up here in 10 minutes at all. I prefer a higher low, I think. So it's certainly made 3 points. I think that's fair to say. Not as yet. It would have to touch there. I think it will. That's a good point, ES. In principle, it's simple trading. You sit here patiently, wait for a good setup, take it regardless of what happens, learn from it, move on. I try to tell myself that every single day, because in principle, it's simple. The only thing that gets in the way of it is bloody emotions, which is frustrating. But yeah, you're right. You just got to keep trying to tell you that. Don't second guess stuff. If you like the setup, take it, commit, and move on. Following the right process is the best way to learn, because you learn automatically then. You got 1 point with 2 contracts. You coward. Good on you, mate. It's important about making money. It'd probably go a bit higher, but I don't like the way it's flattening off there. But yeah,
order canceled.
The best way to look at this is to sit there patiently, wait for a setup. Whatever you decide to go for, 1 point, 2 point, 3 points, whatever, take it, let it play out. If it doesn't work, figure out what you think went wrong, learn from it and move on, and you will slowly improve. That's the best way to do it. Absolutely the best way. See this? What have I just deleted? I just delete something. Oh no, I haven't. Trading is making me insane. Yeah, it kind of does that to you, doesn't it? There is a higher low here. Trouble is, I'd have preferred to be trapping a nice bearish bar, really. And there's always a possibility we could have a leg and a leg. It's hard to say, really. Has it made 3 points? So if I got in, say, there, I don't think it has. No, it would have to touch there, so me. So I'd be panicking already. It's just not gone up very strong. Let me have a look. I think the majority of people are waiting for a higher low. Thomas Wade's waiting for a higher low. Trouble is, it's stacking up now, isn't it? Let's see. Did Dan take it or not? Okay, Dan didn't take it. He said it's not showing rejection. Yeah, if anybody is in Dan's forum, I watched this video overnight. It's about rejection. I'm going to watch it again. It's about 40 minutes. I watched it, but I had a few interruptions, so it doesn't look rejection. It's just slowly ground down. It doesn't look like rejection. It's not pushed up really strongly and clearly, which is why it's only gone up a bit and now it's struggling, because you can guarantee there's going to be maybe a lot of inexperienced traders down here, so this thing may flush down for a second leg. And I don't mean that if you took that trade. I don't mean it like that, but you just don't know what's going to happen here, do you? There's no real high or low here, and it's just stacking up, so you never quite know when it's going to do this. Just going for 6 ticks at the moment. Yeah, I think 6 ticks is the best starting place, I do. I wouldn't do a point. That's my personal opinion. It's not everybody's, I get that, but I know people like Dan and Marco go for 6 ticks, so I think that's a good starting point. That ATI is really low today. I may only go for 2 points myself, actually. It depends. If I'd have gone for 2 points, that certainly would have worked, but we've got to push up the sideways. So my gut feeling is this is going to push up now a little bit. So I'm reckoning I would have got my 3 points here. So let's just put that there. Marco said yesterday trading 2 contracts, 1 scalp and 1 runner. Yeah, I've thought about that myself. The trouble is, I would say if you only go for 6 points, 7 or 8 times out of 10, your runner's going to get stopped out. The trouble is, you're losing off, your profit's there straight away. Yeah, so that would have worked anyway. So my gut feeling when it went sideways, it was going to push up again. The other Lance quote, I blow accounts, but I'm making money. Yeah, that's it. So it did work. It didn't work. I don't think it was the worst trade in the world. I just felt more comfortable taking the higher low there. But yeah, I wouldn't ever kick yourself. Don't ever kick yourself. You don't know it's going to go like that. With hindsight, it's easy to go, I wish it, but at the time you don't know. So whatever decision you take at the time, don't second guess yourself. You kind of do what feels right at the time, but your decision-making process, whether you get into a trade, whether you get out of a trade, where you hold on to a trade, will just get better in time. I mean, we do push up, we go sideways. So straight away, as soon as it starts to go sideways, there's some uncertainty there. So, I wouldn't blame anyone for taking profit here. You don't know it's going to go up. Not taking that, but now benefit. Yeah. Put it this way, Dan didn't take it. He didn't see rejection. So if it had been a good, strong setup, he'd have had a go at that. And then he did say, what a lame higher low. So he wouldn't have took the higher low anyway. So it's not pushing up as strong as that's a nice bar. So Matt may mark it. He's got his points straight away. But the fact that it goes sideways just tells me it's not as super strong as and that might be because it's a little bit messy. It's a tough one, isn't it? I've had my channel down here. I've had it up here, which means it may be a break. It's just not super clear there. Trouble is, when we look back later and the market's up here, it looks a lot easier, but when you're in a trade, you've got to put up with all this. And as soon as it starts doing this, we know when things start to range or go sideways, it reduces the probability. So, you know what I mean? Just the way that's going sideways sometimes says that there's a bit of uncertainty here. Should I have taken it? But, and as I say, it was kind of off this area. It was above that EMA. It actually looked much better on the MES. That for me says much stronger that we came down, crossed right over, and it pushed up strong. That looks a bit clearer. On the ES chart, there's a few more bars and a lot more mess, but that's clearer. 2 red bars, a little bit of sideways, 2 red bars, and a strong green push-up. I'm only really trading this MES chart as a penguin setup if I see one. That you may argue that is a penguin setup. It is. So maybe I should have had a go. I don't know anyway, but I'm up to 2 contracts now. So if I can get 2 winning trades a week, that would make me well over $2,000 a month. And as I say, even after that, I'd be happy with. So I'm quite happy sitting back here and not taking anything for a day or 2 or 3 or whatever. Trouble is we don't know. We don't know nothing. We don't quite know where it's going to go, do we? I wouldn't be surprised if we get a correction here. Something like that. Which flush down, clear out anything here and here. We'll see. Yeah, Thomas didn't take it either. Yeah, he's just got the same thing as me. To be honest with you, it does look, although it is kind of working, it does look a little bit too messy. I suppose, yeah, in hindsight, you can see there's 2 legs down. I think the higher low would have been the safer option. You may have had a go at that. It depends. Someone like Bart will take them all day long, but he can put up with a loss if he takes them. It doesn't affect him. So that's something that he would probably take. I'd say that's going to work more times than it isn't. So it just depends on your risk tolerance. But I don't think some definitely took it. Same again, it depends. See, he's got it looking like that. I didn't think it looked really valid when I did it, but it didn't look too bad there. So, you know, there's certainly some questions there, whether it is or not, because it is a bit messy. But yeah, Dan never took it. What a lame. He was waiting for the lower high. Yeah, not showing rejection. It didn't. It slowly kind of worked up. So yeah, it's pushed up sideways, so it is struggling a bit. You took it, but the price going sideways after entry never feels good. Yeah. As I say, I don't think it was a bad to have a go there. It's above that EMA. If you've got your channel like that or close to that, it looks okay. The MES looked much cleaner. You can see 2 bars, a little bit of sideways, and 2 bars, 2 red, a little bit of sideways, 2 red, and a strong. I love how that's sitting there. That looks much more valid to me. That is much cleaner. Much cleaner. Touch. So if I'd have had that on the ES instead of the MES, I'd have taken it, because that's much cleaner. And if that fails, I'm pretty sure I could send an email to Mac and say, go on then, explain why that didn't work, because that is super clean. We hadn't quite made a full measured move up. So 1, 2, 3. You can't deny that doesn't confirm that trend line. We've had 3 perfect touches. And it did work, and it has worked. Sometimes they just do take a bit of time. So based on what I can see there, 100% I'd have taken it. But on here, it just looked that little bit messy. So trouble is, you can't see it did that at the time, unfortunately. I wish it was that simple. But I'm glad Dan and Marco and Thomas Wade didn't take it, because they all kind of had that same feeling as I did, that something is a little bit messy, but it worked. What's going sideways after the entry never feels good. It doesn't, does it? Yeah, that does test your nerve, doesn't it? But, you know, we've talked about this many times. Price will do that. It'll go up, it'll go sideways, it'll go up, it'll go sideways. And that's kind of how a channel works. It goes up, goes sideways, goes up, goes kind of sideways. But as we've had 2 legs up, and it's a little bit messy, there's always that little bit of doubt, isn't there? And I think you're safer to err on the side of caution. That tells me if you're cautious about that, that's not a bad thing. That's a good asset to have, that is. Too many unknowns on that trade. Yeah, you don't know it's going to do that. I will say the ES looked much cleaner. Sorry, the MES. If I'd have seen that, now that is very clear. But if I put them side by side, look at the difference. That looks like a jumbled mess. You got red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green. Whereas we got 2 red. We break out a little bit sideways and then 2 red. As soon as we get down to that AMA, we cross over, drops below, and then pushes up and close on a high. That looks much cleaner as a setup. This, there's doubts. But I wasn't looking at this, to be fair. I'm looking for more bigger moves with this, but that looks much cleaner. I need to learn to go for more points. Yeah, you and me both, mate. That's my ultimate goal. To go for maybe a less contract, but go for more points. I mean, if you'd have taken that, I always do this, and then maybe put your stop there, and then maybe there, and followed it up. You know, the potential for getting a big move is there, isn't it? You know, you could follow this up bar at a time. You could be sat on guaranteed 4 points out. ATR's low today. In fact, that's the first time I've seen it under 2 for a while. You know, you could try and squeeze as much as you can out of that, couldn't you? But so if you went for 6 points, there you go. I'd have doubled that, but you never know it's going to happen. It does take a bit of nerve to do that. Now, if I'd have had, you know, 10 or 20 accounts with $10,000 in and I'm trading a contract, I wouldn't so much have a problem with holding that. Yeah, I agree. Someone's just put there, will the second entry long be a blue? Dan's put, yeah, for sure, I agree. He'll mark that because it worked. It's off the key entry point and it worked. If it's off the key entry point and it worked and it resembles 2 legs, I think there's you've got a valid reason to have a little bit of concern there. Certainly wait for the higher low, but if it works, Mac will mark it. It'd be interesting to see if it does. He may prove us wrong. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, every chart will be. In fact, let's try a different chart. See if how things look. Let's try the 1,000 tick chart. It actually doesn't look much different, does it? Let's have a look at like a 2-minute chart. See how that looks. It's a very similar picture, isn't it? 2 legs down. That's a bit from the EMA. Little bit of a wick there. So look at the 5-minute. Trouble is, there's always going to be one chart looks good. Don't overanalyze. Yeah, there's nothing there really, is there? Bearish bar pushed up. Channel. Ultimately, you've just got to make the decision as best you can. Done it again, look. Oh, in case anybody doesn't know, that 80% has been, well, restarted. I wouldn't say extended. They missed it for a day. So if anybody is interested in an evaluation, 80% off till early July, I think. So my code's there, ukft. If you use it, it's appreciated. It's rare, and I did not have risk to reward, risk 9 and got 9. Good on you, mate. It's called model fitting. Data science. It's cold. Okay, I'm just going to take a bathroom break. I'll be a quick minute. Right, let's see how anybody else is doing today.
I got to increase my size. I
Nut is
can't.
up a bit. So he's in a trade at the moment,
We
actually.
can't be making $30 an hour.
Excuse me. Nut is up a bit. Let's have a look. Oh my God. Alpine's really struggling again, isn't he? He's had a terrible day. Oh, he's had some on one, but he's down a stack again. It's weird how you can have a fantastic 5-6 weeks in a row and barely lose a trade, and then all of a sudden 2 days you get crucified. 3, 6, 9.
All right, guys. So have a good weekend.
20,
Be good today. Enjoy whoever else you're gonna watch. Go to Nutty
I
stream.
don't like to see anybody get crucified.
And I don't know if Nutty's streaming today actually. But yeah.
1, 2, 3.
I'll be fine.
4.
Just the bump in the road. Still got plenty of accounts that I could salvage and start getting.
Up. I have to increase my size.
Nut is not doing too bad at all. He's up
I
a
got to
bit.
increase my size. I can't.
But he had a bad,
$30 an hour. It
was it
can't
last
take
week
an
or week
hour
before,
to get
but
to my
he's bounced
first
back.
target. Not acceptable.
He's got a good attitude. I like Nutty. He's got a good attitude of trading.
What follows slow markets? Fast drops. Yeah, exactly, Robbie M. It's the summer trading. Summer trading is here. Up. I have to increase my size. I got to increase my size. I can't. We can't be making $30 an hour. It can't take an hour to get to my first target. Not acceptable. What follows slow markets? Fast drops. Yeah, exactly, Robbie M. It's the summer trading. Summer trading is here. You do hair removal from nose and ears with a special wax? Please tell me. I can't even. There's no way people tell me you don't put wax in your nose hole. You put a stick in it and then you rip it out. There is no way that is healthy or safe. No shot. If I would do that, I'd probably have brain fluid coming out. There's that cannot be healthy.
Oh, you can hear him, can't you? Sorry about that. I was just seeing how I was just making a comment on there. Sorry, I forgot you guys can hear him, can't you? Yeah, I've just noticed he's had 2 really bad days in a row. Do you think we'll get... I'm not sure, Tony, and the reason I say that is because this current deal that they've got, which just came out today, goes up to the 6th of July. So it's hard to know, mate. They may throw something at us. Who knows? It's hard to know. I'd have said probably no, because this one finishes the 6th, but you never know. They might just all of a sudden turn around and throw one at you. There's another bullish bar off here, but there's no setup again. Trouble is, that might be a small break. Thursday for me. 2 good trades, perfect spots. Good on you, mate. Well done. Time for the beach. You make me sick. See you tomorrow. You take it easy, pal. You take it easy, Bart. Time for the beach. Some people have got the life, haven't they? How the other half live, eh? So is that a small break? Tough one, isn't it? Let's stick it to the bottom. So you could go there. There's a break. Looks like a break. See, if you do it like that, it certainly does. If you do it like that, it does again, doesn't it? Even there, I think, yeah, it's not tiny. It's enough to be concerned, isn't it? Yeah, it is a small one. So you have to treat it like that, really, don't you? So there's one push-up. Maybe we get a second push-up close to this. Yeah, it may do. Trouble is, if that's a break, there's our first leg up. Usually when we have a break, we'll have 2 pushes to a new high. ATR has really dropped. Yeah, it has. It hasn't been down here for a long while, has it? If I do take profit, I might have to adjust. Well, if I do take a trade, I think it might be prudent to adjust it to 2 points. We'll see. I suppose it depends how good the setup is. Trouble is, I've got to sit through quite a bit of distance, so it would have to push to there, which is a fair move, really. It's not the biggest in the world, but so one push, maybe we get a second push. Let's get this accurate. So I've put that down there. That's the lowest part, isn't it? So that, let's put that about there at the top. The bottom, we're about right there. That's the lowest part. Yeah, so 2 pushes. We're not far off there. We're about, what, 2 points? 2.5 points. 3 points, something like that, 2.5, 3 points. Your ATR is 2 points. I know sometimes when I use that that indicator of yans, sometimes it will show there the ATR. It will be slightly different from that. I don't know how it all works like, but it's definitely a. At least we're getting some movement anyway, which is encouraging, isn't it? Yesterday it was just pretty. We had so much of that chopping around. This whole section here, all this section here. A lot here, like, yeah, it's pretty messy that, isn't it, when you look at it like that? At least today we're actually moving a little bit, so if we do get into a trade, at least once you got some direction, that's the hardest part, isn't it? Getting the direction, at least we know we're working up at the moment. Yeah, so Dan has got his like this. That's, I tried that a little bit ago. It doesn't look that bad, and we've got a break here. 2 pushes to an high, then we come back and push up again. So trouble is, you're kind of forever moving it really. So that wouldn't look too bad, but we're not touching there, so I'd probably feel a bit more comfortable with that. But I think we got the same outcome anyway, whether we've had a break here or whether we've had a break here. If we've had a break here, we've had a new high. If we've had a break here, we've had 2 pushes to a new high. So it may go sideways. We may shoot off in a different angle. Who knows? But what I might do with that range bar is take it down to 10. I think this works best when it's about the same as there. That's about 8. So I think 10 is okay. Probably could even go down to 8 actually. Is there an 8? That would be 2 points. That's close to range. There isn't, but I could do something with that. Let's go to, well, figure. So let's change this to, what did I say, 8. I think this works best when it's close to the ATR on the ES chart. See how this looks. 2 nice legs down there. That looks nice. That looked lovely. Okay. You know, the thing is, look at every one of these bearish bars here. Every one of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every single one of them made at least 2 points. Every single one of them. Isn't that weird? See, look at that one I wouldn't taken. There is a higher low there. That one worked. Second entry long, that one worked. We got 2 legs down and a failure there. Second entry short, which triggered and failed. Sometimes this seems a bit too good to be true, doesn't it? But every single one of those bearish bars up there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What was the lowest one? So that was the lowest one. That went for, I'm guessing, still 2 points. In fact, every single one of those bearish bars, I've picked the lowest one there at the bottom. Every single one of those I'd have got 3 points off. Every single one of them. Now, it's easy when I can see it's all happen at the time. You wouldn't necessarily do it, would you? But even if you treated this as a triple test and maybe this as a triple test, it's weird, isn't it? But I actually like that. I think it performs best when it's very close to the ATR on here. This is 2, this is 1, just under 190. So that looked nice and clear there. Second entry long, right off the key entry point, just worked beautifully. 2 legs down. There was a higher low there, and there was a second entry short which failed. That worked as well. Now, it's very easy to say it worked, but once you're going sideways like this, your knees are shaking, aren't they? So, but yeah, it looks quite neat, that does. Trouble is, this at the moment, I don't think sometimes this is very good for channels. If you look here, we're clearly broken. We're not there, so it's not super easy. If you draw a channel on both 2000 and the range chart, yeah, that's what I mean. It does, doesn't it? That's the trouble, really. But what I will say is if we're close to the channel here and we get something like that, I mean, they look like they work. But it's very easy to do that after the fact. When you're in the thick of this and you've got to make decisions on the fly, it's not so simple. But we got a little range there, little breakout, that worked. You know, it's a tough one, isn't it? But look at that. It's weird, isn't it? It's unusual looking stuff. Because although we get dojis, we don't get dojis which close in the middle of a bar. The only time we get a doji is when it actually closes on its high or its low. We don't actually move up to another bar or down to another bar until either, you know, that bar either closes at 8 ticks high and then moves up on the night tick or vice versa. You need to enter on time, not 2 ticks late. Yeah, that's the trouble. You've got to be aware of where a setup's going to happen and get your order ready, haven't you? Dan said that to me a few weeks ago. He said, best thing I can give you is wait for a rejection. And wait for a setup, take it on a setup, because sometimes I go, oh, I like that, let's just jump in. And I click buy. That's kind of, it's a bit too impulsive. And I agreed with him there. He said, you know, get your order ready. If you think a setup's going to come here, get your order ready. And if you get it, then take it. Don't go, oh, I've seen that, let's just jump in. Because that can, that impulsive, I don't like taking trades impulsive like that, but I do take them from time to time, and I think it's a bad habit. So are we getting a correction? And is this thing going to push higher? We'll soon find out. So I'll be looking for somewhere along those lines, something like that. Maybe a bit, I don't know, who knows. I like to give myself options where I think it might hold or bounce. There's a little bounce there. There's a little bit there. It's hard to know. I mean, this thing could be completely coming back, you know, reversing, but we've been relatively bullish up to now. So, oh crap. So that obviously threw a bunch of stops there. Yeah, so we had a break, 2 pushes to a new high, bearish bar. You can't just take that, really. You've got to wait for a lower high if you think this, and we didn't really get one, really. It just came careering down pretty quick. Let's just get rid of that for a minute. Yeah, so whether you think this is a break and this goes up a little bit more steep, or this is a break, either or, it doesn't really matter. That, after a break, had 2 clear pushes up. If that was a break, we had a bunch of more, so it's I'm not sure. Framing trade ideas, but not so relevant for execution. Yeah. So, yeah, Thomas Wade's got the same thing as me. The small break there. The only difference is this is typical Thomas Wade. That's what he tends to do. He does something wider like that. Whereas Dan does something. It's hard to say, really, isn't it, whether you go with that at all. I'm not sure. I'd rather keep that tight personally. And if I look on the MES, it is tight. I'll just bring that MES in. That's pretty straight down, that is. So that doesn't need to have a wider channel. It's pretty, well, there you go. It's pretty straight down there, so I'm quite happy doing something a bit steeper rather than connecting these two, this top one and this Thomas Wade channel. Yeah, he's pretty. The only difference is he's got right from that top. Mine just cut through that bar, so there's not a huge amount of difference really. It certainly wouldn't. If I draw that like he's got that, he went from there and he cut through that bar a touch, didn't he? Yeah, he did. So is that about right? Yeah, that looks about right. Thing is with Thomas Wade on his channels, he doesn't have a centre line. So I would say that has got a small break. So if we can get 2 pushes up, the only thing that concerns me is we've been a bullish day up until now, so I wouldn't necessarily think this is a straightforward reversal. And I put that line there because we bounced a few times there, we've bounced there, and we're holding here, so it could start to push up. So I wouldn't automatically want to take a second entry short. I used to have a sheet of paper next to my chart that says taking a trade, look left. And what I can see is it's holding 3 times there, 4 times there, 5, 6, 7. So there is a little bit of support there. And not only that, a lot of times price will do this, push down, clear out liquidity, and you could say there was liquidity there, which had a strong push down, and it cleared that out. There's nothing else really down there which I would consider a good entry apart from this area. So it may do something like that and then push up. I would be nervous about taking a second entry short now. I don't think Thomas Wade concerns himself with that. So I think he would take a second entry short there. I always get a bit concerned about that. I put that line there for a reason, just to see if we found any kind of support there, and we did, in all fairness. 1, 2, 3, 4 times it connected with that line, 5 times, 6, 7, 8. So I will be cautious about a second entry short here. Depends how it sets up, really. No, I don't think we're going to get one by the looks of things anyway. It's a little micro, that, isn't it? If I was going to take a short here, it would have to be either a triple test or a proper second entry, showing some real kind of rejection. I don't think that's going to finish bearish in the slightest. No, it hasn't. Yeah, I tend to like to do that just to see if we're going to connect with it, and we did 4 times, so I have to pay attention to that. Not that we've got to trade anyway. Bullish stay measured move not met. Yeah. I mean, you could adjust this slightly to. I mean, it's such a small move, isn't it? And with a channel like that, we rarely get such a small break and it pushes up. So my guess is that just looks as fine. So maybe got a touch here, we got a touch there, we got 3 touches here. So in all fairness, I don't think there's. I mean, we tend to, view it as a small break. Just to maybe say stay away from a second entry long if we get one. After this has happened, but that's pretty definitive. That's a clear break. That if I've adjusted it a little bit. It touches on the stem. It touches a couple of times here. We got 3 stems here and there. So, I'll go as far as to say, yeah, Thomas Wade's just adjusted his as well. As we've had that and we're starting to push up, I'd say it's pretty much this is the break. With such a, it's a fair sized channel that from here, what are we, 5, 10, 15, it's 20 points. Didn't sound like a lot, but that ATR is quite low today. So you rarely see such a small break like that, a new high, and then the thing reverses. So my guess is it's quite likely going to break these highs, whether it does it in this push or whether we get, a second entry long and we go up that way. Either way, coming off the bottom, forming rate. Yeah, there's a possible range there. If we get a break here and a nice second entry long, I may have a go at that if we get something. Mind you, we rarely get, when I want something, we rarely get it, but you never know. So we got a channel with a break and an attempt at a new low, and then we just pushed up. So it may just take off. Who knows? There's always a possibility we could have something like that. How does that work with a midline? It's not the worst looking thing in the world, is it? So you never know. You never know. But the trouble is, it's not the. It may look better if you come up to the top, then come back. It may look better at a later stage, but I certainly think it's worth paying attention to. Mind you, it's too late anyway. The thing's already took off, but you could put something like there. So there's a possibility. So if we get a second entry long here, it might not be terrible. That wasn't. It's a moth or something. Get out of it. Just came out of nowhere. Yeah, they don't bother me. It's just when they just come out of nowhere. Come on then. Getting tapped by a bat. What, because it looked big or because I was swinging it? It just came out of nowhere. I think it was a bat, actually. A bat with a rat riding on it, I think it was. Yeah, that's why I look jumpy. Normally they don't bother me. I hate it when it does this. We know where it's going, don't we? And it does that. Both, absolutely. Do you know, I was watching that guy I mentioned yesterday, that British trader, doing the that open range breakout on the first 15 minutes of the 9:30 open in the London market. And I was watching another trader talking about it, and he said he doesn't think it works because a lot of these institutions know about all these, these weird and wonderful ways that people make money out the markets, and they kind of manipulate it. It's hard to know how true that is, really. I mean, pattern price action is quite a big following. So it's hard to know how much kind of manipulation by some of these institutions actually does it really happen? Do they know where the entries are? Because what I will say is Pats is pretty accurate. When you get a good solid setup, it pretty much always works. So, perhaps it's just some kind of built up paranoia that maybe some of us have got. I remember seeing an interview with Tom Hugard, and someone asked him, do they go for your stops? Is it true about all that? And he said, no, absolutely not. They're not bothered about you. They just do their own thing. You're small fry. So it's hard to know how much, whether any of it really happens, this kind of manipulation, taking out. I dare say, we know weak setups that aren't that good tend to get taken out, picking up liquidity. But I know Mac's been trading the way he has for donkey's years now, and so perhaps it's kind of stories that you hear that you wonder, over time. But I don't know whether if it's true or not. Who knows? So channel break, new high. See if we get 2 attempts to push lower here. We may get something long. Just check an order opens here.
Order submitted.
Yeah, it does. It's okay.
Order cancelled.
Just checking on the MES. That I've got it set to 4 contracts at the moment on the MES, as the ATRs still under 2 at the moment. I'd like to see a triple test there. Let's say that's once, that's twice. or a little fail breakout here to push up to these highs. It does look like it's not a huge channel, so I think that will be enough. But I'd like to see maybe a fail breakout here and then something to go long. We'll see if we get something. Can't just take that, unfortunately. One, there's no room to the highs, and it is only 2 taps, so it could come down a bit lower yet. I'd much prefer 3 tests of this line. That really is just part of the channel up, so I wouldn't consider that a test, really. That is a test. That is a test. Sometimes it doesn't matter, it goes up, but I guarantee as soon as I get in there, it'll trigger me and come down. So unfortunately, it's a bit congested, and it's hard to know. You do nothing, it goes up. As soon as you get in, it'll trigger you and stop you out. It just kind of works that way. I've just learned not to bother anymore. Sometimes you just got to let it go. Was he? It's hard to know exactly what goes on, isn't it? You know, we you know, one thing I'm aware is a lot of the manipulation that goes on in the crypto market. You know, obviously, if you've got, you know, large amounts of sway, if you've got large amounts of power in these markets, and you can move markets to a degree. Trouble is, a lot of crypto people, as soon as they see price going down, they start to sell. So, you know, if you can create that little tip, that little bit of panic in the markets, price goes down, you buy it back cheaper. I dare say there's a lot of that stuff. You know, whether these institutions pay much attention to the likes of me and you, I don't know whether they do or not. It's hard to say, really. Perhaps they do, perhaps they don't. Perhaps they just focus on their way of doing things. I mean, I will say there's not as many setups, Pats, as there used to be now. Whether that's just the way things are or whether that's the way things change over time, you've got to kind of... But if, you know, Max says price actions never changed in the 25 years, you know, obviously he won't have spent all that time on the charts, I don't think. He might have done. I don't know when everything went more computerized, I suppose early 2000s. But certainly as long as he's been doing those videos, 13, 14 years, he said price hasn't changed. And if I look back on some of his, it hasn't really. So I don't know whether you've got to sort of adapt your strategy over time. I don't quite know. The trouble is when you're a retail trader, you've never been in the big space. You don't know so much about the mechanics. You know, we can all go out and change a spark plug, but do we know how to, you know, change your head gasket on a car? That's down to the mechanics, the guys that do it day by day. So, you know, I could tell you what it's like when a clutch goes because I've had it, but I don't know the, you know, the inner workings of how a car works and all that sort of stuff. So it's hard to say, really. Yeah, Karina's a what do you call them? What do you call them? Moderator? Yeah, I figure she keeps us all in check. I've learned not to argue with women. Just nod and say yes, dear. So, yeah, we give her a stripe on her arm. Moderator, I think it is. Yeah. I haven't really got enough people for moderators, to be fair. What I get between 40 and 50, 40 and 60, something like that. On average, it depends. Okay, so we have... Let's see what happens here now. But that is a clear break. That is a push-up. So if we can get a failed breakout... Yeah, don't piss her off. Now that is a triple test. See how that bounced back? 1, 2, 3. That's tempting. Trouble is,
Order submitted.
Trouble is, we could get another leg down here. I'm a bit nervous about this. See what anybody says. I mean, it has cleared all that liquidity out. Trouble is, there's no room to the highs. That's the one thing. Someone's put hope it closes bad. I know how that feels. I mean, how much space is there? Plenty of space up to the highs. What do we do here? I'm not so sure about this. It is a triple test, but there's something I'm just uncertain about. It may just be the paranoia in me. But my concern is we get another leg down. Just there's something about this I don't like. You can't argue it is a triple test. It's off the key entry point, so maybe it'll work, but there's something about it I don't like. And that is not what you want to see. Yeah, Marco's skipping it. It's not
Order
looking good
canceled.
anyway. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It may work. You know, we've had a channel up and it is a triple test. Sometimes you just do it and trust it. If it works, Mac will mark it, but it may not. You know, it's one of those ones, isn't it? Marco skipped it, so it's a tough one. It is a triple test, 1, 2, 3 off that line. It's right tight to that key entry point. So I don't think it's the worst trade in the world. Marco's skipping it. I've not heard anything about Dan yet. Someone's saying there's a bigger channel forming. There kind of is, so it might not be a terrible trade. What do you do? Mac will say there's got to be enough room to the top. If you're scalping a point, there is, but there's not much. How many bans do I have? I think I'm the only one she can't ban, I think. I say that, I don't know. Okay, so I mean, if you look at it, 1, 2, 3, it is a triple test. Doesn't look good to me. It does now, but every trade, someone reminded me yesterday, every trade looks good once it's worked. Mind you, you'd have got 1.5 points out of it. So Mac will mark it. I don't doubt it. Well, it depends. Tough to say, but if you look, if it's bouncing off there, we may push up. We may get another leg up. Triple test, lower than the other two. What I like about it is it's cleared out any liquidity prior, and that's always a good thing. But we push up. Now, I would have even got 2 points out of this and immediately cross over and pull down. So this is one of those areas that there's still a bit of uncertainty. Yeah. I mean, if we'd have done this and we'd have got support up here, then at least we'd have had a bit of scope. But there is support across there, and that always makes me a bit nervous. So if this pushes higher, I will wait for the second entry long, no problem. Yeah. But now looking on this range, you've got a triple test here. I don't like a triple test when we've pushed into it to go short, but fail break lower, yeah. Trouble is, if you look at this bar here, it's pushed down and cleared out any liquidity. So, I mean, from a Pat's perspective, you go in there, you're out before the highs, there's enough for a scalp. So if you're getting a tick above it, there's not enough for a scalp, really. It's got to push through, but if you, well, yeah, you could argue there is. So Mac may mark it. It certainly made, but then all of a sudden you got this. So if that was strong enough when it got on here and there was enough buyers in there, that thing would have took off, I think. So I think the safer thing would be have a little breakout bounce off here. Someone mentioned that. Yeah. Tormu, take it. Yeah, I wouldn't have even got 2 points there, to be fair. So I'm kind of glad I left that. It may still hold, but there's just not enough room to the highs. And, you know, if anything, there's got to be that. It's gone up. You'd have got a point and a half. If I'd have gone for 2 points, it would have had to it there, and it didn't. So look at it now. So is that going to come and tick below there? Sometimes if it's a strong position, it won't. One thing I'll say that's going for that is it's tight to the bottom of the channel and it's tight to the EMA, so it may hold. It's a tough one, isn't it? We could get a second attempt. Oh, I don't know. Did it get 4 ticks? Yeah, it got 4 ticks, I think. Well, maybe it didn't. If we go a tick above it, which is about here. Oh yeah, absolutely 4 ticks. Yeah. So from Mac's point of view, it worked. So he'll mark it. 1, 2, 3. There's a higher low there. May call that a triple test. Is that going to work? I just don't like the fact that it's gone up and come straight back down. That's definitely a smaller risk. It's only 5 ticks. I'm just not sure about this. There's just... Yeah, that's it, yeah. It's triggered above there and it's just going nowhere at the moment, so... I mean, the thing is, depending on how you looked at that, we've had a small break and a new high, so it just may be making a bunch of attempts to come down, and it could... I don't know, who knows? You may argue it's a higher low, but it's just not pushing up. I mean, although Mac marks a lot of these trades, what you don't see is how long things take. And the longer things take to move, the more your nerves kind of kick in. I will say that's only 5 ticks. Tick below, tick below. So you're risking 7 ticks. So you're risking a 0.75. So it's a small risk, really. And it is a higher low. So... it's just one of those things. I'm not sure about this. There's just something I don't like about it. You know, I think in fairness, you've got to say we've had a small break to push us to a new high. So you just never know. It's not pushing up as strong as I thought it might do. So, you know, 10 minutes late, we may be up here. And we know a lot of times it'll go up sideways and up. But it's just struggling a bit. Someone's just said it'll fail once we take it. So it's pushed up, you know. Sometimes you've just got to take them, haven't you, if you think it's right. But there's just something about... that was a triple test. It went up to the top, came straight back down. That's what made me nervous. So tick above there, it's certainly gone for a scalp. So I'm pretty sure Mac will mark both of those. What do you do? Oh, what do you do? It's easy when you see what it's done. You know, but I say it's triple test again, bullish bar, high or low. What do you do? A few took it. Someone said, wish me luck. I mean, it clearly worked. He got out of the highs, so pray and hold. What did he take it for? 4 points. And he got out the highs, so that worked for him. Yeah, it was. The trouble is, there's a bit of uncertainty. We got this channel going up with a small break and a new high, so you don't know whether it's going to make multiple attempts to come off and then drop for a second leg. It's just hard to know. And yeah, it is making multiple what's-its, but we're also struggling to get up as well. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? I wouldn't have said it was an A+ setup. The trouble is, when you see it works, you think, okay, well, there you go. One thing going for it, it's 5 ticks, and Mac will often say that. It's not often you get a 5-tick risk. Well, I say 5 ticks. 7 ticks, tick above, tick below, 7 ticks. So I don't think Thomas Wade took it, I don't think. Did Dan take it? I don't know. Yeah, Taylor didn't take it. Yeah, Dan took that, went for 4 ticks. I mean, it is a triple test. Sometimes you've just got to take them and commit, haven't you? But, I mean, it was a triple test. We got a channel up and a triple test, and it did go on to work. So perhaps the order of the day is just to take it. I mean, I go for 3/4 points. It came back. It didn't stop it out. As a passive seller at the highs. Yeah. That's a tough one, isn't it? It's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But Dan just took 4 ticks there. Hold on a second. Do you have a break? Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Now we know what happened. It's easy, isn't it? But see, not only that, we got a channel up there with a break. 2 pushes to a new high. So this thing's already made a new high. So that, well, it's one of those things, isn't it? I don't really think it matters if it's triple tested. It did make multiple. So it worked in the end, but at the time, you've got to make a decision based on what you're seeing. We'd already had a small break and a new high, so there we go. So there's that measured leg. In fact, I think we've actually hit that. Not far off. Yeah. Yeah, see on the MES, look crap. Nothing there. It looked okay on the range bar. That one worked and that one worked. It didn't look too bad on here. There was just something I didn't like. I don't know. See, Dan's got it a range, and we still hear that. Don't diddle in the middle. You're going long, close to the top of the range, but I suppose it depends what you go for. Dan took a point, so, you know, wise to skip. You don't have much room to the highs. No. I mean, we know it goes up, across, and up. The thing is, Dan took a point. So if I take one trade for 3 points, it's the equivalent of taking 3 trades if you take a point. So, as I say, now I'm going for 2 contracts. I'd rather wait and get it right. If I take 2 winning trades a week, if I really hold my tongue and wait and sit for those obvious good trades, the obvious good setups will work. That will give me 6 points in a week. That's $600. On a calendar month, it's $2,600. Now, let's say I take up some losses as well, and I only take $1,000, which is less than half of that. It's still a great wage if you've got 10, 20 accounts. So I'm just trying to remind myself, wait for an obvious, easy setup. There was a few issues there. Mac would say you need enough space to the highs. And granted, if you took a point on both of those, they worked. I much prefer to go for a little bit more and sit back. You know, there was a possibility we've had a break. If that didn't work, you know, someone may have said, we've had a small break, so you got to be careful. But, you know, not only that, we've had a channel up, we've had a break, 2 pushes to a new high. So there's a few unanswered questions there, but I don't know, there you go. We can talk all day about this, can't we? It's easy when, you know, it happens. What I will say is there was clearly some buying going on there. So, you know, there we go. Yeah, detach your emotions from the market. Don't trade what you think, trade what you see. Let's see the chart tell a story and follow the price, not your feelings. Yeah, I mean, you obviously have a gut feeling. It's about getting the direction right, isn't it? And we pushed up into that, and we know majority of the time it'll push up, go sideways and push up. It's kind of like a bull flag, isn't it? But there again, you know, I've got it as a range. Dan had it as a range. You're going long just above that midline. So, you know, you hear those things in the back. Don't diddle in the middle. When something works, it's kind of easy to go, oh, well, it works, so it was okay trade. But, you know, we'd had a channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new high. So technically that had played out. Did we have a small break here and we've already made a new high? There's a bunch of variables, but now I'm going for 2 contracts. I have 1 loss in a day. I'm happy to sit through a day or 2 and not take a thing. It doesn't worry me. I'd rather be sure and get it right. And I think if you've got doubts and you're not sure, you're always best off not taking a trade. You're never going to do yourself any harm. And I think it's always safer to err on the side of caution if you've got doubts. It's one of those things, isn't it? I haven't got enough room for my setup to the highs. So there we go. Anyway, so channel break, 2 pushes to a new high, whether that's a break or not. But there's also a possibility of something larger there. So we'll see. But that measured move, if let's have a look. Let's put that about there. Measured move, right, we're a tick away from that measured move. That's close enough, isn't it? Trading is uncertain, yeah. It's not what I would consider a great trade. Having said that, it is a clear triple test. Now, I know it came back, but it still didn't break below there. And usually, if it's a solid position, it'll hold. I was surprised it even did that. But it didn't break below there. So, you know, I often think that the better, stronger positions will hold. And in that case, it did. It was clearly a triple test. There's no argument there. but it was quite a tight range, and that's what made me a bit nervous. I haven't got enough for my setup, and I go for 3 points purely and simply because I don't see a lot of trades nowadays. So when I take one, I'd rather sort of capitalize when it's a good setup. You know, Christ, if I take 4 solid trades a month, it's still $1,200 a month. You got 10 accounts. That's a fair chunk of change. I mean, it's a shame about that trade yesterday. If I'd have took that trade yesterday, my bar was different. That was it. Yeah, I'd have got me 3 points easily there. One more trade for the week. That'd have been a great week. So it's just a shame that was a tick off a doji for me. But looking at that now, it's a lovely setup. We've got a little channel. They're breaking a new high. Clearly a second entry short. Right off the key entry point. It's just unfortunately, I did reload, but my bar didn't materialize. It's kind of just one of those things, isn't it? Okay, so 2 legs up. There's a bearish bar and a possible lower high here. I don't think that's a bad option for a lower high. Trouble is, if there is a bigger channel, it's a tough one. But it is a small risk, isn't it?
Order submitted.
Let's have a look. How much space is there? Depending on where it goes. So there's a 1.5. 2 legs up, bearish bar, lower high. I dare say that's probably going to get to the EMA. Measured moves played out. It's just no space, is there? 2 legs up, lower high. There's just not enough space, unfortunately. Back to the EMA, so let's say there's barely a point.
Order cancelled.
Yeah, there was a question about those. I left them, but I think Dan went for both of them, I believe, and just took a point off each. But obviously, I go for a little bit more. So yeah, it is. The trouble is, if that's a channel, there's a break, there's a new high, 2 perfect legs up. It's not a bad setup, but if there is a bigger overall channel, that would make it a bit dangerous. Now, I think there's a fair chance this could come down the EMA, but it's only for a point. So that would make me nervous. Because it could trigger, stop that out, and then push up again. Hard to say, really. So measured move has played out. Yeah, it hasn't triggered. It's not going to trigger anyway, not now. tempting, that is. Just, it's not something I do a lot of. It is 2 legs up. We've got a bearish bar and a possible lower high. But on here, it's congested, so that makes it more dangerous. We've got a bearish bar, and there is a bearish bar there as well, which is a lower high, but it hasn't triggered. You know, I'll tell you what I might do. Let me just toggle these off a minute. Is that the ES? Let's toggle the watts off a minute. What I might do, let's just see if this
Order
just
submitted.
trades a 1. I might just have a go at the 1
Order
here
cancelled.
if this ends up bearish.
Order submitted.
I think it's going to, because we've had a perfect measured leg up, played off. See on here. So we'll see. I may just have a go on the 1. If that comes down and closes there and drops below, I may have a go at this, just this 1 to the EMA. It's going to anyway. Breaks above that one, I'm not interested.
Order cancelled.
I am starting to think that there may be something larger there. Let's have a look. Let's just kill this color a little bit. Okay, let's get back to where I was. Toggle on. Toggle on. Okay, let's make sure everything's working as it is.
Order submitted.
3 accounts there. 2
Order
contracts.
cancelled. Order submitted.
1. Change
Order
that to a sim,
cancelled.
didn't I? So 89.
Order submitted.
Yeah. Okay.
Order cancelled.
Just wanted to thank you again for being such a positive contributor to the trading community. You're welcome, mate. Thanks for the comment. Much appreciated. Thank you. Nice to feel needed. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, we all do. It is nice to share with other people, isn't it? I got to say, you know, when I've had tough times, I get messages from people, and I return the favour as well. I know sometimes I get messages, not so much lately actually, but from other guys saying that this is happening, that's happening. And all you can do really is reassure them that it's hard. One thing I say to people as well is don't beat yourself up. Because I don't think it does you any favours. The trouble is, and I think it's probably boils down to people risking money too soon. And I know that because I've done it myself many times. And if you risk money too soon, your learning process is a lot more painful. I mean, it's financially, no one likes losing money. So, you know, I think the best way forward here is to spend maybe 6 months on a sim. Learn how everything works first, and then maybe just get yourself one cheap evaluation just to dip your foot in the water, just to get that feel of what it's like to have a little bit more responsibility. But the worst thing to do is to throw money at this, because it's going to make your learning process so much more painful. You know, you can have a reasonably, I wouldn't say easy because it's hard whatever you do, but you can have a lot less pain learning to trade. And when I think about that, someone said to me once, would you teach your daughter? And the first thing I thought is, I don't want her to go through this. So it's a tough one. I remember hearing about, what's his name from Apex? Daryl Martin. He actually made some videos, didn't he, for when his daughter got older in case he wouldn't be around. And I like that. Just to help his daughter trade. But I don't know whether I'd want my daughter to go through what I've gone through, because it can be a really painful. So it's hard. Yes, I mean she goes to college in September anyway. Don't get me wrong. I think if you know, there's a lot of people who make a lot of money and have a good life as traders, but it's hard. And you know, I wouldn't want her to feel the way I've felt from time to time. And I've had days, months and many months where I've felt really down. You know, I've felt depressed that I'm just blowing one after another. I don't do it as much now. Most of my blowing is controlled. In other words, if I've got 5 or 6 accounts with money in, I tend to protect them. The bad habit where I blow is when I get a new account, I try and get lucky, go a few extra contracts and try and give it a boost. So I've gone from blowing everything every other week or every month to just blowing them 6 monthly. So yeah, I kind of knew that I was coming to the end when I blew those accounts. I'd had quite a bit of frustration, but I'd had a good run. I think 4 or 5 of the accounts I'd had for about 5 or 6 months. So I'd had a good run out of them. But I kind of knew the frustration was getting to me. And I had my thoughts that they were going to get blown. I kind of felt like a ticking bomb. And I did blow them. And I probably got another 5 PA accounts over the next week or 2. And I was just throwing them away. I was just trying to get lucky, just out of frustration. And that's what led me to just take that week off, because I thought I'm going to go through 3 months of this unless I don't do something. But I've come back and I didn't take a trade yesterday. I haven't took one today. So I know my patience is working well. So I think that reboot has done me the world of good. So I can't emphasize enough. If you're going through that stage of being frustrated and just taking risk after risk, I can't say take a week off and just relax, get away. You have to, you know what I mean? You know, when we've all had arguments, they say, oh, just walk away and calm down. That's kind of what you need to do. So I had a really good run, and I haven't had that longer run. Every time I get a run, it seems to be longer and longer. And if you look at Nutty and Alpine and people like that, they tend to go through the same thing. So that's why I've bounced back, because I've been here before, and I think after a while you start to realise that, you know, don't worry too much about it. You just got to move on. and you learn slowly. It is a slow process, but if you are having a tough time, just take a week off. It's hard. I found it hard to stay away from it for a week. And I stayed away from Monday to Thursday. I came back Friday because I wanted a few PAs, but by Friday I felt good. You know, I'd spent some time sunbathing and dipping in that little pool outside, and you know, I walked into town and did a bit of shopping and just generally mulled around doing not a lot. Just really taking a break. And I felt good. So I'll be looking for maybe 2 legs down here, or maybe a failed breakout. See how we get on here. But yeah, I felt really refreshed. And it's clearly done me the world of good. I haven't taken a trade for 2 days, and going back a week or two, that wouldn't have happened. Oh. So let's have a look here. So, in fact, let me just take that out of the way. It's a bit... We've got a small breakout at the top. The trouble is, that channel I'm sure about, break, 2 pushes to a new high. Are we going to make a few attempts and this thing is going to come down, or is there a bigger channel in play? I think more people... Yeah, Dan's got that. More people have got a larger... hold on a sec. Enough taking breaks. Yeah, it's really good for you. I found it really hard to stay away, but it's really good for you. Okay, so Dan, let me just adjust this. Dan has got this like this, which I think is a bit unusual, but it may not look too bad. Dan's got it like that. What does that look like? I'm not so sure. I'm really not sure about that. I don't know whether I like it or not. Battling the trend, yeah. I certainly wouldn't be going for shorts. I'd be thinking, I was hoping for a failed breakout. And then to go long, see whether you've got it like that or like that. I personally prefer that. We've gone right off those bars closing, and we've connected the dots nicely. So I prefer that personally, but we're in our own little channel here anyway, so I don't think it really matters too much. Yeah, there isn't, mate, really, is there? 30 minutes, yeah, I know. You know, I keep telling myself to not worry about days like this. The one thing is, when it is chopping around, there's not a great deal. Sometimes it just happens like that, but when you're least expecting it, a trade will, you know, pop out and give you... You know, the more I look at those now, we can see that, the more I think about, is it a setup? We got a channel up, clear triple test off the bottom. It worked up to the top, so Mac will mark that. It came back, for those of you who go for more points. We had a higher low. It never took that out. You know, I've said this a million times. If it's a solid enough position, it won't take it out. And for a bullish bar off that EMA, they don't look any better than that, really. It could have had another tick. But look at, I love a trade when I take it and it's like that. We drop below and we're sat right on top of that EMA. There's no real reason then to go lower, I don't think. That cleared that out, but we came back, but it held and off it went. So I think in all fairness, I think that was a good trade. Now, the sensible thing to do, as Max says, is to get out before the top. So, you know, I go for a little bit more point, but I think I should still say, okay, well, there is a point there and it's a solid trade. Maybe I should have just took a point. So that's something to think about. Maybe I should, you know, think about not just taking setups. If there's a good enough setup, maybe I should just go for a point. So, you know, it's easy when you've seen what happened. If we'd had a leg down, a bunch of chances to go up and this thing dropped, you know, we'd have a different conversation. But you can only do, every time you leave something like this and do something else, you're learning. You know, maybe next time I might just go for it. if it looks, I mean, as a setup, 1, 2, 3 triple test, it was okay. Not a huge amount to the top, but certainly enough for a point. You had a beautiful runner, yeah. I don't know. I may do some runners in the future. I like to get in and out of a trade. I'm a bit gutless. I think taking a higher low, but something was making me nervous about it. Yeah. Is that just general nerves of a slightly less experienced traders like us? Maybe. Now, let me ask you a question, bud. If you were risking $20, would you have taken that? I'm pretty sure I would have done. So does that mean we're risking a bit too much? It's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, see, I find sometimes when I go for a little bit more profit, I get a bit more cautious, which I don't think is a bad thing. But if you're risking maybe $25, $30, $50, that may have changed the idea of that. You may go for a few more points. So it's hard to know, really. I've gone over in my head so many times. Do I trade one contract? Do I trade two? Do I trade 5 micros? Do I trade 3 micros and go for bigger points? You know, it's a tough one. We trade 6 contracts a year. I mean, when we get a bullish day like this, it may be a better idea to go on to micros and trade maybe 3 or 4 micros or 5 micros, which is say half an ES contract, but go for a bigger move as we're generally in a bullish day. So there's, you know, that may be an option depending on how big the ATR is and what type of day is it, where you would adjust, you know, how much you trade and what your risk is. That might be an option, you know, for the future. It's hard to know, really, isn't it? I'm quite indecisive. You guys all know that. I'm quite indecisive. I seem to swap and change. I've always been the same. It's one of the things about me that frustrates me. The way 1 minute I'm doing this, next minute I'm going to go for 1 contract, then I'm going to go for 2. It's just kind of the way I am. I wish it wasn't. Trouble is, if I'd have been trading evaluation, I'd have taken both of those. I'd have taken that as well. Possibly the higher low. It's weird, isn't it? If I would have done, I'd have done all right out of that. But it's weird when you start getting into real money, maybe not evaluations. It's weird how that tends to make you, I don't know whether I'm overcautious. You know, sometimes I think, do I analyze things too much? Do I need to simplify it? It's hard to know. I suppose you guys would have a better idea what you think I'm like. Do I overanalyze? Maybe I do. Maybe I should just see a trade and go for it. And to hell with the consequences, as long as it fits the mold, which it kind of does. Let's see if we get a failed breakout here. Trouble is, if that's the channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new high, you know, we're relying on this being a channel. See if this drops. Let me just get an order ready, just in case we get something down here. Let's see, trade pats. I prefer looking for traps and overshoots. Yeah, as you get more experienced, I think that's a good idea, because when you sit in front of these charts every day, you do notice areas trapped. Sometimes when I trade evaluations, that's what I do. If I think there's some shorts trapped and prices going up, yeah, I'll do that. I don't trade my PAs like that. I'm not sure why, because I think it's quite a smart way in doing things, but a lot of the times I see where I think traders are trapped here and this is going to push down. But I think as you progress and get better, there's a triple test there. Maybe as you get better, you know, I think it's not a bad way of looking at things. You kind of find your own way of doing things. You know, we all, when we sort of learn to drive, we all do things set by driving instructors, a certain model, a certain way of doing things. But then when you get out, you kind of find your own style, don't you? You may say there's a triple test there. Trouble is, there is no room to the highs. The bar ain't finished yet. So at the moment, a tick above there, it wouldn't even give us a point. So I would want a fail breakout, really. Maybe 2 legs down here would be beautiful. If this is a channel, there's a small break. So second entry down here, somewhere around about there wouldn't be a bad option. Thing is, if you look at this range chart here, I've got this channel here. We've got a break, 2 pushes to a new high. There's a triple test there. But I couldn't bring myself to go short when price has been going up all day, although it's not the worst looking setup in the world. See what happens here. See if we can get a second entry long off down here. Market is due for a pullback on that, yeah. Yeah, see, Thomas Wade's got that. Mind you, we push up, we've had a correction, we push up, we've had a decent break, we've had 2 pushes up. It's a smaller chart, so I wouldn't expect a bigger break, but it's hard to tell, isn't it? Is this shooting off in a different direction now, maybe? You could sit and draw different channels all day long, couldn't you? And you can't kind of guarantee anything. Let's see if we get a little fail break out of this. It's clearly ranging at the moment. But I would prefer a second entry long, not just a drop, or a higher low would have to be the better option. It's trying to push up again, isn't it?
Order cancelled.
Yeah, something tells me this thing might just drop. If you look at the range chart here, we've got a triple test. We've got a channel up here with a break, 2 pushes to a new high, 2 more attempts to go higher, and a clear triple test. I just don't fully trust this yet. I probably should, but we've had a leg and a leg up here. You can't argue that a channel. It's not a channel, that really, is it? We've got a push up, 2 attempts to go lower, and a second leg up. So my gut feeling is this is probably going to push down. There's some liquidity taken there. So let's just... My instinct is telling me this is going to push down. How far, I don't know, but let's just put that there for 3 points. Let's just see if it works. We have had 3 attempts to go higher there, and a perfect measured leg. Another attempt to go higher, a second attempt to go higher, Liquidity there, possibly there. I have a concern. This is just going to drop. See if we bounce here. Okay. $6179 down here somewhere. Oh, much you can do at the moment, is there? Just stuck at the moment. I mean, we've had 2 legs up on this range bar. That is kind of 2 legs down with bounce here, so it looks like it's trying to go up. We've had no setup for a failed breakout here anyway, although we have a breakout which looks like it's failing. There's no setup, unfortunately. See, we could do something like that, couldn't we? 2 legs down to here, maybe. It's a possibility. I'm still not even 100% convinced we've got a larger channel there. We may well do. Right, so no, Dan's got rid of the big channel, and I think that's right. I've just had a quick check. Channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new high. This, for me, looks like it could come down. You know. Oh, what time was that? Oh, no, that was ages ago. He's still got rid of it, though, I think. 2 pushes to a new high. It's a tough one, isn't it? Tough one. It's been bullish all day. I mean, there could be a higher low here. This could be pushing down and take out that short there. The long there. It's just not super clear, is it? This could be. It certainly could be. Trouble is, we could have something like that. It may push back up. It's just not super clear at the moment. If I bring that over here like that and say that's in there, we've had a break, we've made a new high, we've made 3 more attempts, we've pushed down at a big bearish bar here. It's hard to say what's going to go on here. I want to wait for something clear, and in all fairness, there's if you look on this range bar, there's possibilities. There's a possibility we could have a lower high that it comes down, takes out that short and works down, or there's a possibility that the lower high gets trapped. We've got a bull bar and we could have a higher low and it may push higher. So it could either or. My gut feeling at the moment is it's probably going to come below there, but I don't want to go on my gut feeling and a probability. Because it could go the other way. Yeah, sometimes it'll do that, and the second you jump in, it'll turn We have had a channel with the break to push it to a new, so it has played out. So I don't want to automatically assume this is it now starting to come down. You need a little bit more. We've had 2 legs up, possible channel. We could have 2 legs back and it may push up, or it may drop and come down. But there's too many mays there. What's that nice high-low back, this micro range? Yeah, it hasn't worked though, has it? That's what I mean. It's just, yeah, I'm not so sure actually. I've got rid of it because I'm not so sure. The trouble is when it's like this, there's different scenarios. It may be in the bigger channel, you know. That one I like. We've had a break, 2 pushes to a new high. We have made multiple attempts, so it could come down. It could do anything at the moment. It really could. You know, if I had to toss a coin and bet £10 heads or tails, I'd rather do that than take a trade, and that's a 50-50. I think you got more chance to get it right. Trouble is, when it's like this, it has a tendency of picking off cheap liquidity. So, yeah, there is arguments for both sides. Yeah, the simple thing is, it's an easy solution, really, is it? When you're not sure, it may go up, it may not. But while you're taking sort of, let's call them an educated guess, but that's more or less what it is. But what I found is if your patience get the better, as soon as you get it, it starts to turn, you'll be kicking yourself. So the obvious answer when it's like this is just leave alone. Yeah, it might mean we go through a day without a trade, but you know, 1 or 2 trades a week, I can make a good living out. So I'd rather get it right. If I go short on a bar like that, you know, trading for 2 contracts, tick above, tick below, yeah, I'm down $300 odd there. See, so my next trade is just more or less going to get me break even. So it could do anything at the moment, up, down, who knows. You've got to wait for some relative certainty and a good strong indication, and we haven't got either really at the moment, have we? And we haven't got the luxury of hindsight, have we? Just have to do the best we can. Yeah, so Taylor's looking at one big channel, but from there, so he's got the tops connected, so about there. So that's about where he's looking at, and it may well be, in which case 2 legs down there might not be bad. But really, we've only touched twice. Yeah, we've touched the top a bit, but you know, I'll just be guessing that's right. 2 legs down to this and a push up may be right, but it might not be. I'm not super convinced, so I don't want to just rely on someone else's idea if I don't really like it myself. So looking at this range bar, there may be a second entry long here. If you push up, there's going to be a stop there and a bunch up here. So, but I don't think that's going to be an easy ride up there. With a bunch of stops there, there's bound to be sellers there. That's going to be tough to get through, I think, which you may be stuck in a trade for half an hour. You could go 1, 2, 3 triple test. The last triple test worked. But we've already had a channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new high. So I have to give this a little bit of time to see whether it's going to go up or down. Well, I've been trading 3.5 hours on stream, an hour off, so 4.5 hours. Yeah, there's kind of a failure there now. This looks like, I think this has got more chance of coming down than it has got. There's bound to be stops up there. People short in this, which I think makes the sellers stronger. We've broke below there now, so I'd probably go for 8 ticks at the moment. Have we made it? Not quite, so you need to touch there. But we could get a fell breakout. 2 legs down, bullish bar pushing up. There's so many variables. They are 2 legs down. Look what we got here. Look, quite a strong buy off there. But there again, if we've got a channel coming down, it's going to trigger you and come down. There's always that possibility. We have that. Now, if you went long there, you may be in a spot of bother. But it is on the range bar. It is a triple test. It is a failed breakout, and it is a second entry long. So to me, it looks like it's going to work. If it breaks above there, it'll find it a bit easier to get to the top of this line, which should make you 8 ticks. But there's still a lot of uncertainty, and sometimes it'll do that and then turn on you. Now that would be a failure. All of a sudden that looked good. Now this is starting to look good, so it is looking quite trappy. So now look at that. That failure is triggered now, and that's starting to push up. So there's definitely a battle going on here. It gets above here and there, it'll launch, I think, won't it? I think it's going to be difficult to get above there. Now there is a bullish bar with a higher low there. There's going to be stops. So is it going to work, or is it going to trigger and come back? It's a toss up, isn't it? It is a second entry long and a higher low. I'm just sitting tight though. Gets above here, it'll have a push, I think. So I wouldn't take that anyway. There's just that would have been the better option, but then when you have this, so it's a tough one, isn't it? It is a second entry long, but the trouble is there's multiple traps here, isn't there? So if it gets above there, it'll let you target, I think. But they're not going to give in to that in a hurry. There's bound to be shorts there, and look, all of a sudden we just click above there. We didn't break those highs, and then we get a bearish drop. So there's a second entry short there. We got a triple test with a second entry short, but there again it's triggered, and now we're pushing up. So there's a battle going on here that I don't really want to be part of. you know, there may be a little channel down here with a small break, and this may come down. I'd say it's going to be a lot harder to get above there than it is down below there. Okay, I think I'm going to knock on the head for the day. I've done just over 4.5 hours an hour before, and 3 hours coming up to 3 hours 40. So not an easy day again today. So I'm going to leave you guys to it. So best of luck. I hope you get a setup if you count on trading. Apart from that, have a great evening. Friday tomorrow, last day of the week, another week all gone already. So have a great evening, stay safe, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.